If aliens are listening out there, then please beam messages into my head.
More phone calls from the lost and found of free speech. Outrageous opinion and controversial comment with the dual voltage dream team. The Michaels, Graham and Parry. He's back, is he?
Through the night until dawn's early light.
The two Mikes, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Look at the light! Airtime, paper time, space time or anything. They're just nutters.
Have you ever had, shall we say, horizontal refreshment with a woman from the continent of Europe?
Yes, indeed I have. Yes.
From where?
Germany.
Germany? Oh, you said the other night you didn't think German women were very attractive.
Oh, no, I didn't say that. No.
You did?
Yeah, well, this was on a beach in Mallorca.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and after getting knocked out of Europe twice in 4 days, it's all a little bit hard to take, really, but it's time to say a very good morning to Mr. Mike, Porky Parry. Very good morning to Mr. Parry.
Yeah, good morning, Mike, and you're absolutely right. We're reeling and knocked around, staggering around the ring after Brexit, whichever way you voted.
Yeah.
Everybody's sort of woken
Nobody
up
knows what's going on.
No, nobody knows what's going on. Woken to reality. I've spoken to a load of people who said, literally, well, actually, I did vote Brexit, but I only did it to give the government a bloody nose.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that we'd actually leave Europe.
Right, and including
seen
some of the people that were leading the campaign by the looks of it.
I've spoken to loads of people who've said that. I've read letters in the Times and the Telegraph and the posh papers, the Guardian, saying this wasn't supposed to happen because we all thought it was just, a token
a foregone
vote.
conclusion as well.
And all that, foregone conclusion of staying in. So
it's a fascinating thing, but it's also very odd and very strange and completely shambolic.
It is completely shambolic. When you think that companies like Barclays are losing 20% of their stock value in one day,
I know.
And that sort of stuff.
You may have to watch out for the way the economy starts to go down the gurgler, as it were.
I'm telling you, man, if
In fact, somebody tweeted me a thing today, I don't know if you saw it, about this guy who's trying to sell off all his property. £250 million portfolio. He's saying he's having a real problem getting people to actually, buy it from overseas because they don't know whether they should buy anything here or not.
Well, I totally agree. It's all a bit of a conundrum, and you know what my greatest fear in life is poverty.
I know that.
And if I suddenly find myself poverty-stricken because of,
how funny would that be?
Some ridiculous political decision.
I know.
After you accumulate wealth throughout your life and you lose it in like an hour's voting or something like that, could be bad news. But anyway.
Now, if there was a stock that you could buy in the England football team, I mean, that would be plunging downwards at the moment as well, wouldn't it?
You see, the thing is, I think Roy Hodgson's leaving speech, which he must have cobbled together, I suppose, after the final whistle, because he didn't
You don't think he had it ready?
No, I don't, because I think he's such a pompous man. I don't think he thought the nation would demand his head, you know what I mean?
Well, I think he kind of saw it coming, though, through the second half, because, I mean, through this whole tournament, England have never looked like scoring. I mean, I used to say, when I used to get slaughtered on Twitter for saying it, don't they actually practice scoring goals? Well, they don't seem to know how to do it.
The most ridiculous thing was the Icelandic equaliser. Yeah. Because every newspaper I read this morning pointed out that this boy from Iceland, who plays for Cardiff, and as a very sort of woolly beard, his speciality is the long throw, which he learnt from Rory Delap of Stoke City.
Well, people were calling him Delapson, weren't they?
Delapson, that's right, and that England must make sure, particularly early in the game, they don't allow him to hurl the ball into the middle, and that if they do, they man-mark the players who are the recipients.
Which they didn't do.
They didn't do any of that.
No.
And so they hold their lead for exactly 2 minutes. I just don't understand it. What do they do in training if they don't practice to try and negate the enemy? Right. But anyway, I thought Hodgson's leaving speech summed him up completely. I mean, to use an expression, after two disastrous tournaments, Brazil in 2014 and here, France 2016, two of the most disastrous performances the England team have ever undertaken.
Oh, they've had one win in two tournaments.
Yeah, one win. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's not even in the knockout stage. That's just in the whole two tournaments they were in.
And that against Wales, which is a sort of fellow home country, if you see what I mean. Yeah. Not knocking Wales at all. Wales are doing brilliantly well.
Wales are still in the quarter-finals.
Well, I'm going to have to transfer my allegiance to them, I suppose, as a part of the United Kingdom, and
that's just like you, isn't it?
Take them on. But anyway,
that's typically you to do that.
I thought Roy's leaving speech contained two statements. One, I will remember... I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be insulting. I will remember my time with pride.
Oh, yeah.
What pride? Well, you mean just because you played a load of half-baked teams?
Proud of. Well, apparently what he's proud of is qualifying without losing a game.
Yeah, well,
great.
That's all very well until you get there. So I don't think there's any pride at all. In fact, you should remember your time, Mr. Hodgson, with shame, not pride.
Yes.
You brought shame on English football. We've lost to a country who had 10% of their total population in the south of France today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you realise that? 10% of the whole of Iceland was in the south of France.
Was it? 30,000 of them.
Yes, if 10% of the United Kingdom is in the south of France, it'd be 6 million people there.
Yes.
That's a difference in size between the two countries, right?
Well, it's the size of Croydon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or Leicester.
Yeah, that's right, Leicester, yeah. We were beaten by a team with players from sort of Charlton and Swansea.
Yeah.
Not anything wrong with Charlton and Swansea.
The guy who, the bearded guy, I know we'll come up with all these names later on, with the big sort of long red-type beard.
The guy with the throwing?
Who nearly scored a third goal, I think.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get a game at Cardiff last season.
Yes.
And then another guy comes up to take a corner, who's played, as you say, for Charlton, who got relegated. Right. So, when people say, actually, tongue-in-cheek, maybe we should just play with the Championship team, well, Iceland are kind of effectively doing that, and they're in the quarter-finals of the Euros.
Yeah. But, I mean, so that was the first expression which I thought, you remember, with pride, let's go. But then he says, it's been a fantastic journey. Yeah. Well, do you know what? The minute before the Titanic hit the iceberg, the people on board thought it was a fantastic journey. It was a brilliant ship, and the booze was flowing, and the roulette wheels were spinning, and everybody's having a great time, except for the third-class passengers who were down in the bowels of the ship, you know, and the guys who were stoking the engines and all that kind of stuff. And then, bang, hit the iceberg. So how they would have looked upon it 24 hours later, floating around in a boat, freezing to death in the North Atlantic as a fantastic journey, I don't know. No. But that's exactly what Roy has done. He's described what happened. We crashed and burnt in the end, but he said it was a fantastic journey.
I suppose if you're getting paid £70,000 a week, that was the worst thing. Then I suppose the journey, whichever way you go, is pretty nice.
That was the worst thing. In the end, I don't feel a bit sorry for him.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because you sent out a tweet just before this show.
Yes.
I feel a bit sorry for Hodgson. He should never have been given the England job.
Of course he shouldn't.
Totally unqualified for the post.
Yeah.
Never really won anything.
No.
Which is pretty true, really. You can't argue with that.
He shouldn't have been given the job. I mean, he went to Liverpool, right, who were trying to re-establish themselves as a top Premier League team, and they handed that responsibility to Roy Hodgson.
Right.
And within 6 months, it was absolutely clear he was bereft of any ideas to restore Liverpool to their former glory. Yeah. So how come then...
Do you remember one of the players up there described his training techniques as putting a few cones out?
Comical.
And just ridiculously old-fashioned and hopeless.
We went up there for the Liverpool game. We spoke to one of the players. He said it's comical. He said he comes out in the morning, all these cones under his arm. He said, I was doing that when I was a kid 20 years ago. Right. Literally. He said things have moved on, but he hasn't. And what I'm saying is, if the Football Association it represents a game in this country, they should be full of philosophers and thinkers. Yeah. And somebody should have said, well, hang on, let's go to Liverpool and ask Liverpool about Roy Hodgson before we appoint him as England manager.
There's not many good words to be said for him in the Liverpool fans' arena, is there?
No, because the opposition candidate was Harry Redknapp. Yeah. Now, if you go to any of Harry Redknapp's former clubs, they'll all say, that man is so committed to football, you can't believe it. He's forward-looking, he's intense, but he's a deep thinker of the game. He understands the personalities of players and he brings them together. Great man-manager, which Roy Hodgson clearly isn't. But if you went to Liverpool, you just said, well, the players didn't connect with him. Didn't like his training methods, thought he was old-fashioned, thought he's out of date, didn't seem to have any new ideas, didn't manage very well, has a pomposity about him which elevates him above the players. Yeah. How could he ever have been selected as the England manager?
I know.
Unbelievable.
But at that point, you have to then say, surely the FA are as much to blame for appointing him as he is for being as useless at the job as he was.
They are, but even when the FA got it wrong, they then perpetuated their mistake by reappointing him.
What about your hero, Gary Neville? He's gone as well.
Well, he's gone as well, but I mean, I don't blame him for going because you're left in the wreckage.
Well, isn't he responsible for what they should have done at the throw-ins, though, the long throw-ins? Isn't he supposed to be their defensive coordinator?
No, I don't think he's their defensive coordinator, but I don't know whether he's given responsibility to...
Well, what was he doing?
Well, what Gary Neville normally does is psychologically work the players up to a point of, Gary Neville's a winner. He's got the medals to prove it, and that's what he does. But no, the point I was making is that...
He won a winner in Valencia, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't, no. No, it was a bad choice as a first managerial job. But Roy Hodgson was appointed because the chairman at the time was Mr. David Bernstein, a similar age to Roy Hodgson, and if you looked at the two of them together, they were like the Tumble twins, except they were both patrician. They were both both establishment and they were both very old-fashioned and long in the tooth.
Yes.
And we don't need that at England. We need a Chris Coleman type figure, you know?
Or Antonio Conte. How great is
Conte
he?
would be great.
He's brilliant. He's fantastic. But we're just running out of time now. We're going to speak to Nigel Adderley, who's our man in England camp. We'll find out what the mood is over there and where the England players actually are. Because presumably they're all now quite happily booking their holidays for a couple of weeks and they'll swan off to Las Vegas and pour champagne down their throats and have pictures of themselves smoking in jacuzzis. We shall see. Later on, of course, we will talk to David Bardsley as well. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham, this is TalkSport.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on TalkSport and Talk Radio.
UEFA Euro 2016 France on TalkSport with Toolstation. Free delivery on orders over £10. There when you need it.
UEFA Euro 2016 France on TalkSport.
And it was always going to be gloom or glory, and it's gloom.
Because we lost in France.
For you, monsieur, it's over.
Here's a reality check for
Because
you.
we blew our chance.
It's a shocking defeat.
And now everyone back to number.
Forget Rooney, Vardy, and Harry Kane.
You should have given Danny Kelly again.
Steady on.
Because we lost in France.
Again.
The future, one can only hope, starts here.
Every goal,
Every game
every day.
on TalkSport.
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mikes. We've got loads to do because we've got loads of you to get on the show as well. Of course, the number is this, 08717 223344. Another ignominious end for Roy Hodgson's team. Slightly better performances, I suppose you might say, than Brazil, but not much better. Out to the lowest-ranked team, Iceland, and didn't make it to the quarterfinals, which Wales did. To be honest, if they had made it to the quarterfinals, it could have been very embarrassing against France, Mike. I don't know what you think about that, but to play a decent team, it could have been awful. But let's take some calls. Charlie is an Arsenal fan. Charlie, very good morning to you. What would you like to say?
Morning, lads.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
Well, I don't know where to start. I can't believe how bad he got the squad compared to the formation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Theo Walcott or Townsend are better than someone like Barkley, for instance.
Well, Barkley never got a game, did he?
Barkley never kicked a ball.
This is my point. I'm pretty sure if Walcott or Townsend go, they come back from this tournament with minutes under their belt, and Barkley hasn't. If you're going to play that formation, I'm not having a dig at Barkley. I rate him, but why take the kid if he doesn't fit in? I don't see where Barkley gets anywhere near a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
When you're determined to play Rooney in the middle and...
But Charlie, I think, sorry mate to interrupt you here, I hate all this talk about 4-3-3, 4-3-2-1, 4 diamond 2. I mean, that is all, honestly, just, all you're doing there is mystifying what football's all about. Were the players motivated by the manager? Did he get them up for the job? Did he tell them all what their job was on the day? Did he have them playing together? The answer is no. And to go on about systems that didn't work, I'm telling you, that is just a fog. It's just a red herring.
Mate, we're talking about Premier League footballers. I could have been able to manage them today.
Exactly.
To beat Iceland. I'm not. The players ain't pulled their weight.
Good news for you, Charlie, is that Roy Hodgson may well have scuppered Tottenham's chances of ever winning anything. Hey? I mean, he's completely ruined Harry Kane. Dele Alli is not the player he was when he left
and
White
the two
Hart Lane.
fullbacks didn't look as though they knew which way they were playing.
I'm an Arsenal fan. I think you've got to... These lads are out on their feet. I mean, they give it their all to try to catch Leicester last season, and I think... I think that maybe that was a knock-on effect, you know what I mean? They bottled it in the league. Well, they didn't bottle it in the league. I think that's a bit harsh, I suppose. They were the only team that could catch Leicester and didn't.
But I mean, people will say they're out on their feet, but every other team has played long seasons. You know, the Spanish went out yesterday. You might say that they're not as good without some of their international players in La Liga and all that sort of thing. But Charlie, I mean, tell me one thing: who can you get in as the next manager? That's the question everybody wants to know.
This is it, lads. I'd go totally out of the box, guys. I'd go with someone who I don't know if this is the thing, lads. You're in the know. Do you ever think that a player might go to a tournament with anything to do with sponsors?
Sponsors?
What's that got to do with
Whether
it?
a player's too high profile, like, do you ever feel a manager's hands are tied?
What do you think about Joe Hart?
What are you saying, that players have to play because of that? I don't think so. I think there's enough money in football, and international football isn't like that anyway.
would honestly then, I'd go totally out the box. I'd go Eddie Howe or Sean Dyche, or I'd just totally change.
That might work.
30 years old, and that's the worst performance I've seen for it.
Yeah,
but because they didn't know what they were supposed to be doing.
No, because they have no system. I mean, that's the point.
Exactly.
Charlie, thanks very much indeed.
Sorry.
We're going to go to Martin in Huddersfield now. Martin, what would you like to say? Hello, Martin. No, Martin's not there. Hello, Martin.
Hi.
Hi, Martin. What would you like to say?
Well, a couple of things really. Sometimes I can't understand why. I don't know if it's something to do with managers or whatever it is. When we're actually playing international football, we don't play like that.
Right.
So when I see us playing like, could be whether it's Italy or God forbid Iceland, we don't just go, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
This is greatest team ever. We'll have you. We're just going to batter you.
Well, exactly. I mean, Germany have a system, right? And anyone will tell you who watches Germany, Joachim Löw puts players into that system. Yeah. Doesn't matter which the players are that he uses. Doesn't matter who's playing in that particular day. And that works, right? This afternoon, when Italy beat Spain, Danny Murphy was doing some commentating on BBC, I think it was, and he said, look at the way that the Italians attack. They're very well drilled. You can tell they've been coached. Complete opposite when you watch England.
Yeah.
It is. I noticed as well. Mateus was saying about when no matter who they swap, it's don't matter what number shirt he is. Right. They come in, they slot in, and they go bang, and they do it.
Yeah, they know their job.
Yeah, you can put any single person on that pitch, and they did well. They proved it against Slovakia. We drew 0-0 Slovakia. They go, well, we're 1-0 up within a couple of minutes. Then we beat them 3-0 and go, next. And it's very simple to these, but it's not to us.
We make it so complicated. Harry Kane again today taking free kicks, you know, from the wide.
They stopped him taking corners. Why is he taking free kicks?
I don't know, no idea.
Makes no sense. I mean, the other thing as well, Martin, is that some of the touches that some of the England players had, and later it was said that they were kind of losing their concentration. They didn't know what they were doing. They were panicking. But Jack Wilshere comes on. His first touch, the ball goes under his foot. What's going on?
We all watched the game tonight. Even ruin little 5-yard passes. Nobody's even just touching the ball. It's basics you taught at school, and I'm not a football coach, but it's like, what are you doing, guys?
Well, Mike Parry asked the question at the start of the show. What have they been doing in training? What have they been doing for the last week? What do they practice? I mean, they don't practice scoring goals, obviously.
Don't practice playing together by the look of it. And, the idea of making 6 changes to a team in the middle of a tournament is bound to cause you problems.
And then make another 6.
Yeah, exactly, because then you come back and say, I'll tell you what, revert back to the one that didn't work before the one that didn't work. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Hopeless.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Shambolic.
Now, we've got a couple of texts and tweets to read out to you. Here's one, let's see, from somebody called Andy in Falkirk. Guys, just look at the difference between Italy and England. At the top level, it comes down to football intelligence and tactical game management. British players are light years behind other international teams and have been for years. I think that's absolutely right. A couple of other people are suggesting Carlos Queiroz, who is apparently he's available now. He should get a call right now to get the England job. But we want to talk now though to Nigel Adderley, who of course is TalkSport's England correspondent in the camp.
Nigel Adderley's England Camp Update on TalkSport with the caddy from Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles. Advanced safety and comfort your team can depend on.
Nigel, very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah, well, I imagine a lot better than you are, and a lot better than anyone in the England camp is. Where is the England camp at the moment exactly? Are they still there?
They're still here in Nice. I'm currently stood on a rooftop balcony looking out over Nice, and somewhere towards the Promenade d'Anglais, the England team are licking their wounds, thinking about the future. They'll fly back to Chantilly tomorrow, and we may get some sort of post-mortem press conference after what was a pretty shambolic evening.
Well, it was a very shambolic evening. You're not going to tell me they're out on the Terps, are you, hopefully?
No, I don't think they are. I think they're keeping a very low profile. When I spoke to Joe Hart live on TalkSport a few hours ago, I could see the tears in his eyes, and he almost broke down during that interview. I mean, clearly he's hurting, and fair play to him for fronting up, unlike the manager tonight. And I think that there was a good deal of hurt in that team because there were a number of young players looking to make an impact in this tournament, and yet again it's simply not happened.
Yeah, Nice, you get the impression, because you travelled with the England squad, that Roy Hodgson is totally unaware of his own deficiencies, totally unaware of the lack of confidence he instills in fans, and probably totally unaware of the lack of competency instills in players.
Well, the results speak for themselves, Mike, don't they? I mean, good managers or lucky managers get the results. He looked a good manager, or maybe a lucky manager, when they beat Wales. But of course, since then there was that 0-0 draw against Slovakia when he made all the changes, and we saw what happened tonight. I mean, all week we've been saying Iceland are a pretty limited but durable team. They're disciplined and they're good from set pieces. England get the perfect start, a penalty in the first couple of minutes. Then what happens? A minute later, a long throw and they concede. I mean, it's child's play. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, that long throw, by the way, you wouldn't have seen it because you weren't here, was detailed in every national newspaper this morning. Beware of this long throw merchant. You know, he's the Rory Delap of the Icelandic team. And then when it came in, they were stunned. They literally, what's that? How did that happen? It was like, you know, a doodle bug had just suddenly been flown into the stadium. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I know, and I was at the game, Iceland's win against Austria in the Stade de France.
Well, they got their second goal from one, didn't they?
Yeah, the first goal was exactly the same.
That's right,
the first long throw into the near post, flicked on, and somebody else came in and scored. It wasn't the same player as Sigurdsson who scored tonight, but you know, England had 5 coaches there. So you've got to ask, all right, they must have detailed that. So what were they working on in training to avoid defending that like they did tonight?
Yeah,
well, that seems to be the problem, doesn't it? And I mean, what I think most fans who are calling into TalkSport tonight, Nigel, are baffled by is how Roy Hodgson has turned these young players, and, you know, some of them may be tired or overwhelmed or stressed out or something, but his job is to make that go away for them, isn't it? His job is to make them play well, to play in a position that he thinks that they're good at, and to play in a system that they can all understand. None of that seems to be happening.
No, we were told this England team would play without fear. There were young players, the youngest squad to leave our shores ever for a European Championships, and we were told it was going to be fearless. I have to say, from my position down by the pitch in the second half tonight, they looked scared to death.
Yeah, and
every time the ball went into the penalty area, no one really attacked it. It was overhit. And I think Iceland, I think a final scoreline of 3-1 or 4-1 wouldn't have flattered the Icelanders.
No, it wouldn't. The one that Joe Hart saved right near the end, you know, that to his left, when that looked more like it was going to be a goal. The other thing is, Nigel, this, you know, Roy was really bold, you know, with 6 changes for the Slovakia, and then he was bold to bring back Sterling. The boldest thing he could have done was to put Rashford on from the start, because he was, in the 4 minutes or 5 minutes that he had possession of the ball tonight, he really did look different. He looked as though he could have caused some problems.
Yeah, I think there were 2 projects throughout this England squad. One of them was to get Jack Wilshere back on the field and get him fit. That didn't work. And the other one was to try and rebuild Raheem Sterling's confidence, get him back on the field after his problems.
But what, I mean, is this some kind of rehab unit? He's running the England national football team, though, Nigel. It's not a rehab unit for players who aren't feeling very confident, is it?
He's got a bug in his head about Liverpool players, hasn't he? Because he failed so miserably at Liverpool. He's determined to prove that, actually, I did create some good players at Liverpool, and here they are, and they're playing for England now.
Right. And what about the FA, Nigel? Sorry to interrupt you there, but I mean, anyone from the FA been in evidence? Because they're just as much to blame for this debacle, I would have thought, as Roy Hodgson is.
No, Martin Glenn, the chief executive, left through the interview area along with Dan Ashworth, the technical director. Neither of them stopped for a comment. We may hear something from the FA back in Chantilly tomorrow. I mean, of course, Roy Hodgson ducked the interviews tonight, didn't answer any questions, gave his statement and then left the scene. And we did hear from a couple of the players. But I think we need to hear from the chief exec and also the technical director tomorrow, because Dan Ashworth is basically the man who will choose the next England manager. So we need to know what he's got in mind and who's available.
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, Nige, you'll be aware of this, I'm sure, is that half of the backroom staff who are going home tonight with England are going home to redundancy and won't be at the FA after tomorrow. I mean, some very
of the sweeping changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Some very senior people are leaving. Michelle, who is the sort of personal assistant to
Michelle Farrer,
to Roy Hodgson. She's been a stalwart there for nearly 20 years. Some of the people who really do keep things calm, working in the media section of the FA, are leaving, and there's a big revolution coming at the FA, a big revolution, much bigger than just appointing the new manager. And that, we say this every time, but they've got to get it right, but they never do.
Absolutely. The FA is in a state of flux at the moment, where a number of people, very good people, are leaving the FA, basically leaving tomorrow after this tournament ends, and they do have some decisions to make as they try to move forward as what they believe is a leaner, fitter body. But people look at what happens at the top, and now we need a new England manager, and it's somebody who's got to basically take the team through the World Cup qualifiers, which includes games against Scotland, which of course come with all their own baggage. And I've just been sat around a table with some of the finalists from Fleet Street, chewing over a few names, and basically we can't come up with a name.
No. Glenn Hoddle, has he been mentioned again?
Glenn Hoddle was mentioned, of course. Well, we even thought if they were going for a cheap appointment, Mike, Frank de Boer. Because, of course, he left Ajax.
Yeah. I tell you what, I was listening to Jason Cundy earlier on before we came on tonight, and he mentioned Rafael Benitez. Yeah. And I thought, well, actually, the fat Spanish waiter as he was, I mean, doesn't know half now to win games, doesn't he? I mean, I know he didn't succeed in the end at Newcastle.
It's probably not going to encourage him to come and work for England if you keep calling him that.
Well, I've never called him that. Other people call him that.
No, of course you haven't, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him that.
You just said the Spanish were riding around on donkeys with bread under their arm.
Yeah, but I think that, the fact that you're mentioning names like him and throwing his name in the ring illustrates the size of the problem, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, we're looking at managers who are either out of work, English managers. I mean, Gareth Southgate has been mentioned, and I think at the moment anybody from inside the FA is almost seen as somebody who is, in a way, quote, damaged goods.
Yeah, that's right.
He's part of the system which has failed. And, of course, Gareth Southgate took a team to the Under-21 Championship last year, didn't do well. They went to the Toulon tournament this year, a different sort of tournament, and they won it. But is that enough to become the England manager?
Yeah, but I thought Gareth Southgate had his responsibilities reduced by Dan Ashworth, hadn't he? Wasn't he in charge of about 5 or 6 teams?
They just put him in charge
pared it down to 1.
Yeah, exactly right.
So they can hardly promote him now, I would have thought.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Nigel, listen, thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks,
keep an eye on the fire escape there as well, down in south of France. The England players are probably moving back to Chantilly tomorrow, as we heard from Nigel. Kane, Sterling out of form, Rooney out of position, heart-making errors, Wilshere, Sturridge lacking game time. What could possibly go wrong, says Lee. You can text us on 81089. You can email, of course, via the website to talksport.com. You can tweet us at the two Mikes, at Mike Parry 8 and at IROMG. We'll take more of your calls coming up next on TalkSport.
The two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on TalkSport and Talk Radio.
Sturridge's ball in. It bounces ahead of Sterling. Goalkeeper's come out. The penalty. Referee points to the spot, and England have a penalty inside the opening 3 minutes. It's Rooney against Hal Dawson to give England the perfect start. Runs up right-footed and puts it under the despairing dive of the goalkeeper. Just what England needed. They're a goal up against Iceland with only 4 minutes gone. Got us with a long throw inside the penalty area. It's 1-1. Ragnar Sigurdsson equalises for Iceland within 90 seconds. Long throw in towards the near post, flicked on, and there was Sigurdsson winning the second ball. Picked up by Goodmanson, who finds Skilfie Sigurdsson trying to turn him around the corner. Dawson can get a shot in. Oh, it's in! Joe Hart got a left hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. Is this going to be a disastrous night for England unfolding in Nice? Ahead inside 5 minutes, behind inside 20. Nice 2016 will be talked about for years. The night that England led, but were beaten by Iceland, and were well beaten by Iceland, who had industry, heart, and a game plan. 3 things you can't accuse England of having. England 1, Iceland 2, the better side are through. England are out. Miserable, miserable night of football for England.
This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. Winners and losers coming up a little bit later on, which of course will be fascinating because we may have to set some ground rules for that because of the number of winners and losers that have been going on since the last time I saw you, of course. Let me just read you this from Ian in Manchester. Guys, I stopped watching England when Wally McLaren was in charge. The simple fact is the English players are not good enough. They're overpaid and overhyped. The only reason that the Premier League is as good as it is that we have good players and managers from other countries around the world. Our players are overpaid and overhyped, which is probably true.
Well, when you think about it, Wayne Wayne Rooney earns about £300,000 a week if you take his image rights into consideration.
You think he'd be able to take a free kick that didn't go too far over the back of the byline, wouldn't you?
Well, Harry Kane did one of those as well, didn't he? Right.
What about his free kick that went about sort of halfway to the corner flag?
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, I doubt if there was a player on that pitch tonight in England shirt who earns less than 100,000 a week.
No,
I doubt it very much indeed.
Well, maybe Rashford.
Rashford's a kid. He's on 20,000 a week. I think we know that, don't we? Well, he's 18 or something, and then he'll get a massive rise. You know, as soon as he becomes a regular Manchester United player. But the established internationals, I doubt there's anybody under 100. You know, you think about the clubs they come from, and some of those Icelandic players will not be on £10,000 a week. No. In fact, some of them won't be on £5,000 a week.
No, of course.
You know, they play for clubs like Nantes in France and places like that. And when you think about the comparative effort that the two teams put in tonight and the will to win exhibited by the players in England shirts and Icelandic shirts, then the world's gone completely mad.
Well, that is the main difference between the two teams.
Completely
they wanted
mad.
It more, didn't they?
Yeah.
Now, I was hoping to get to this before now. I haven't been able to because we've been so busy. We will take more of your calls in a moment. But I'm expecting an apology from you because you sent out this tweet earlier on which said, "Can't wait to get on air tonight in the wake of what I hope will be an England victory to stuff down Iceland-loving old MG's throat." Mm-hmm. Now, aside from the fact that that's a sort of an unfortunate threat of violence, obviously you can't be shoving anything down my throat because Iceland won, as I suggested they might do. Yeah. So I think you should be giving me kudos for being so foresighted.
No, I can explain all this. I can explain all this. To start off with, I had, severe worries about how England would perform tonight, but the problem is that I have been an established long-time England supporter. I very rarely speak out against the FA, but I thought Hodgson was so incompetent that I had to. I felt I had a duty, but I still have friends at the Football Association. I used to work for them. I'm very, very reluctant to back against England. So if I'd expressed any doubts about England being halted by Iceland, I would have been accused of being a traitor. And, of course, I don't do that, and that's why...
You don't do traitoring, do
you?
No,
I don't do treachery.
Even when you were working at the FA, when you were giving their secrets away out the back door?
No, I wasn't. I believed in perestroika, openness,
Oh, really? There's that word again.
And that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand... obviously wanted to play devil's advocate. I'd said England would win. So, no, there's two reasons here, Mike. First of all, you thought you'll play devil's advocate because, it's...
No, I genuinely didn't think England would beat Iceland.
You think there's a chance that Iceland might have won it. But secondly, of course, and you don't explain this enough to our listeners, you have an element of anti-Englishness in you.
That's not true.
You do, because...
I was born in London.
No. Both your parents...
Absolute rubbish.
Both your parents are Scottish, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, right, fine. You spent at least 10 years of your life living in New York, yeah?
I spent about 10 years there, yeah.
You don't
How does that make me anti-English?
Well, because you don't have the English instincts that I have. I am 100% Anglo-Saxon.
So you claim.
I don't
but you
have
got a Welsh name.
No, it
Parry is a Welsh name, isn't it not? You've admitted that in the past.
It may be, but it doesn't matter.
How can you be 100% Anglo-Saxon if you've got a Welsh name?
I haven't got a Welsh name.
You've told me it's a Welsh name.
I've got a name which applies to a lot of people who live in Wales. Doesn't make it a Welsh name. Now, the point is...
a lot of people in Wales are called Parry.
You can be accused of lacking... national fervour.
Not true.
Which I have. Incorrect. And you don't.
Incorrect.
And so therefore I don't
have blind loyalty to a team that are not good enough to get past Iceland.
No, I
will always stand out and say that if I believe that something is going to happen, that it will happen.
I suspected that England would have a problem with Iceland because of the spirit of Iceland. And by the way, do you see their fans and this amazing chant they have where they clap their hands like very loudly and it echoes all around the stadium, and then they wait a few seconds, they do it again.
It's kind of a sort of a wolf-like noise.
Also, if you saw the eyes of the Icelandic fans, and I'm talking about... I saw one girl focused on, a female, very good-looking Icelandic fan girl, and her eyes had gone mad, you know what I mean? No, seriously.
Iceland.
Yeah, eyes from Iceland and all that kind of stuff. And it just made me wonder, and a lot of them were looking like that. Then the camera panned along the road she was in, and they all seemed to have gone crazy.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, because... You and I were talking about magic mushrooms and things a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Do you think in Iceland they might have magic ice or something? You know what I mean?
Well,
which we don't know about it.
You never know.
Well,
it's called euphoria. England fans don't know what that is.
Well, I wonder whether, because it's such an insular island, Iceland, I wonder whether, all them volcanoes, they throw up all sorts of strange substances. I wonder whether...
Sulphur poisoning or something.
Well, no, I read there's something like sulphur dust or something like that, which they get from the base of volcanoes. And that gets into the ice, and they go around sucking bits of magic ice or something like that.
It seems unlikely. Absolutely.
No, it doesn't. No, and that's what gives them this sort of wild look. Also, remember, they are descended from Vikings, and therefore they do have this wild, barbarian type look when they get excited. You know, I found it very interesting.
I'm very happy for them. They seem
As an anthropologist, I found it fascinating.
They didn't seem to get involved in any fighting either. Let's talk to Massam, who's a United fan in Gloucester. Massam, hi, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Yeah, good morning.
What would you like to say, sir?
Hello. I've got a question for yourself. We seem awfully a lot talking about New England managers. I was just wondering myself, is this an impossible job, this England job?
Is it an impossible job?
I don't think it's impossible at all.
No, because we seem to be breathing the qualification process. We get to, like, big tournaments and we get, like, stage fright. So should we really be blaming the players, not the manager?
I'm trying to remember who the first manager who's described as the impossible job was. It was Graham Taylor.
Yeah.
Graham Taylor definitely described it as the impossible job.
Yeah, but I think we're well beyond now, Massam, because don't forget, when we went to Brazil with Roy Hodgson, everybody said we're going to lower the expectations. You know, the newspapers had managed to do that. We weren't going into tournaments going, we're going to win this. And expectations were lowered, and that didn't work either.
Yeah, but then you got to say, if the expectations are lower, is the quality of our players not up to the job? Because you say we take the Premier League as one of the best leagues in the world, because the most entertaining, and our players just don't seem to produce the goods when it comes to the big stage. So could it be said that non-English players there's too many non-English players in the starting lineups for the big teams in our league?
Well, it could be. I mean, you're absolutely right in the sense that when we tend to win Champions League trophies and that kind of stuff, half the team is made up of foreign players. So it's not necessarily England who are benefiting, and you're right there. But, I mean, the cry has gone out now, hasn't it, ad infinitum for years. You know, why can't we produce the players? Too many foreign players. Well, the too many foreign players thing is a consequence of the success of the Premier League.
And that's just a commercial market. And I mean, as a result of what else is going on around Europe at the moment, Massa, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much. It may well be that changes, because it may well be that European players won't be playing in the Premier League quite as much as they were. But that's another argument for another time. There's only one man for the job, says R. Stoddard, Iceland manager Lars Lagerbäck, tactically astute and clearly much better manager than Roy. Coming up, we'll take more of your calls and talk to David Bardsley.
UEFA Euro 2016 on TalkSport with Virgin Media. Only Virgin Media gives you all the sport from Sky Sports and BT Sport in one package, in cabled areas only. Are you ready to be moved?
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. We've still got lots of calls to take. David Bardsley's coming up in a moment as well. Let's talk to Martin first, though, in Huddersfield. Yeah. Martin, very good morning to you. Yeah, hi. What would you like to say?
Just little things about, when we're actually on that pitch, I just think, well, I suppose it's a bit patriotic, this, but it's like, hey, this is England, we will proper play how we play. I remember years and years ago with Ian Wright, he'd come on as a sub against Man United when Steve Coppell was his manager. Yeah. And he ran on, he bagged 2 goals within, 10 minutes, 6 minutes, I don't know what it was. And then under England manager, Graham Taylor, he had sheets of paper with him going, right, this is what I need you to do. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to go left, you need to go right, you need to watch him, he's a good defender, watch him. Nothing. No effect whatsoever. Just, do you know something, lads? Just go on page and do your stuff.
Yeah. But isn't the fact, but doesn't it look, Martin, like they're confused about what they're meant to be doing? They're sometimes frightened. I mean, they're obviously feeling the pressure last night because they knew that if they lost to Iceland, it would be a massive disaster and the worst loss that England have suffered probably since the 50s, last century. But, they don't know their system. I mean, people. I said this a long time ago. Lee Dixon said this last night. You know how Spain play. You know how Germany play. You know how Italy play. You don't know how England play. I've said this for years. You don't know what England's style of play is.
I was saying earlier, Matthias said when they have a substitute for Germany, they go, yeah, and what? Well, he goes there. Yeah. He comes off, he goes there. Is that it? Yeah, that's simple as that. It's just they change, and it's like, well, have a team, but he doesn't even know a team. I'm not having a dig. He's gone. He's left. He's this, that, and the other. But it's pretty rare when you get. I think personally, my favourite managers were Bobby Robson. and Teddy Venables. You just go for it.
People will say, well, they didn't win much either. But I mean, in the end, they played much better football. It was entertaining. Italian '90 was a roller coaster ride. Euro '96 was fantastic. Nobody's coming out of this Euro tournament saying, well, at least the boys put a big effort in, and it was entertaining to watch. They only won one game in 2 tournaments under Hodgson, the last 2.
Right, but I also couldn't believe as well that we've only won 6 in 18 tournaments.
That's right, yeah, in knockout stages, yeah. And never beaten.
Do you honestly believe that Teddy Venables actually nudged someone if they went on a pitch as a sub, going, I can't see him with a piece of paper. He must have gone, go on, just do your stuff. Where do you want me to be, boss?
Yeah.
Just do what you do, man.
No, I totally agree. There's far too much talk of, zones and systems and 4-4-2 and diamonds and all this rubbish. if you just get the players to say to each other in training, how do you feel more comfortable about this, and this, and get that moving, you can do it. And it can't be a mystery, because other managers manage to do it. People say, well, they come from disparate clubs, you've got to knit them together in a couple of days. Well, other international managers managed to do it.
Conte's managed it.
Yeah, exactly.
The Spanish have managed
it.
Martin, thanks very much indeed.
Yeah.
How about this from Matthew? He says, how about LVG? Just so we can hear Porky's impression again, saying that he is actually good in cup competitions.
Blue Van Gaal. I don't think so. I think his days are numbered.
Now, Tony in Birmingham has sent a very odd text. He says, I listen to your show every night, yet every text I send is ignored. It's a nice way to treat a loyal listener. From now on, I'm switching off.
Okay.
Well, I'm terribly sorry to hear that, Tony, because you won't have heard me reading out your text after all this time.
We get thousands of texts as well. What's the guy's name?
His name's Tony.
OK, well, Tony, cheerio, mate, and sorry you won't be listening to us anymore, but you were a very valid listener when you were there, and now you are a Brexit.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry about that.
You've decided to leave instead of remain. Now, let's talk to David Bardsley, a man who knows a little bit about coaching youngsters and about winning tournaments and, trying to do the right thing with a disparate, as you say, group of players. David, very good morning to you. Welcome.
How you doing, guys?
Yeah, pretty good.
Very well indeed. Much better, I suppose you might say, than most England fans tonight, and probably the players as well. What went wrong, David, in your view?
Well, I think they've had a dodgy tournament all the way through, and I think this continual this 4-3-3 they keep playing, even though they have the players to play it, it doesn't really suit the requirements, and we've seen quite clearly in this tournament that Roy seems to be, looks confused on many occasions, and certainly players played that way today. I mean, it's quite a sad episode of events that have gone on, really, to be fair.
Well, when you say a sad episode of events, do you mean that Roy Hodgson's not got a grip of what he should be doing? I mean, for instance, he wasn't even wearing a tie tonight down in the dugout. I couldn't understand that. He looked like a football... Because he looked like a football refugee wandering around looking for a team to lead because he hasn't got any leadership qualities. He didn't seem to know... Again, David, what his best team was. All the speculation about Sterling's being brought back in. Sterling had tried and failed in this competition. It was ridiculous, I think, to bring him back.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that on many different occasions. There's no point in bringing him back into the team and then taking him off. It does nothing for his confidence in the events, but... You've got to look at the attitude of the players. Roy is a coach at the end of the day, and whether we agree with how he goes about things, the bottom line is that the players looked that they'd had no passion, no application of whatever they were trying to do or have worked on the training ground. The commitment just looked really, really poor. And, when you step out in the stadium in front of all those thousands of fans who have paid fortunes of money to go and watch this event, if that's the kind of return. But this has been historical with England for many, many years, and I've seen different players on Match of the Day tonight criticising one thing and another. They seem to forget themselves. They were that same person at one stage in their career playing for England.
But an awful lot of people, David. Have said, and I mean, you'll think back to things like Italian '90 and Euro '96. We were talking about that. Some of these players you mentioned were involved in those games, and England at least were exciting to watch. I mean, they seem to have been under Roy Hodgson getting less and less exciting. And a lot of the players, you wonder what they have been practicing on the training grounds. They don't seem to know what they're meant to be doing. Because if they've literally just turned up, got out separate taxis and started playing together.
No, I agree with that. I think also that there are questions that need to be asked. You know, we talk about Iceland now, they're investing in football quite heavily, and you look at the qualifications that they require really over there to work with even youth teams and up through the system to the top level teams, even though they don't have that many, for example. But you look at the England setup, and although you've got Ray Lew doing a reasonably good job, the fact is Gary Neville's got all the credentials that you need, but he's never coached a U8 team in his life until he went across to Spain and things didn't work out. Now, you've got to ask questions and say, how can a guy be coaching the best players in this country that's not even coached a youth team? So, it goes deeper than a manager, it goes all the way down. It seems to me in many different ways there are jobs for certain people that damage the future of the soccer system in England.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it goes all the way down and all the way up as well to the top of the FA, where they supposedly were having this revolution under Greg Dyke, building St George's Park, creating a school of excellence.
To go to St George's
but even
Park,
the England team don't want to go there.
No, they don't.
It doesn't appear to have made any difference. How do they make a difference? Because we now have an opportunity, David, to hire a new manager, maybe reshoot the whole kind of structure of England football. Could you, in a sort of 3 quick points, tell us what you would do?
Well, Rooney's finished, isn't he?
Listen, the England thing, they've always looked for one kind of manager that fits the criteria, the suit and tie, everything's got to be done right, don't step out of line. And I think they need to break away from that. And changes need to be made higher up, like you say, in the system before they actually hire somebody so they can move on. We need to look at some of the other managers in this country. You look at Conte, for example. The guy's got this attitude about him, and for me, it's just magnificent to see him talking every pass. He's on the touchline. He's going to come to England with this. He's just not going to sit there and take crap off his players when they make mistakes.
Yeah.
He's going to be on their backs and he's going to push them along. England need to really break away from this. Somebody who just fits the job.
Well, I totally agree, but then you're talking about really reconstituting a whole establishment that's been going on for over 100 years, nearly 150 years. In fact, they celebrated the 150th anniversary, didn't they, last year? So, that's not easy.
But they're going to have to just do something about it and change it altogether, I think. Yes. David, thank you very much indeed. David Barnsley there talking to us about what he thinks needs to change at the very top.
We haven't mentioned Rooney.
We haven't mentioned Rooney yet. No, but we will. We will. It is the end of Rooney, yeah. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. You won't be able to sell any more of those books. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We'll still keep taking your calls, of course. 08717 22 3344. Bob has tweeted. He says Iceland 2, Poundland 1, which is quite funny, isn't it?
Iceland 2, Poundland 1.
Well, Iceland 2, Poundland 1.
Poundland,
as in the shop.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with the England team?
Well, I think he's equating the England team with Poundland.
To being cheap.
Despite the fact that they're not cheap. Yeah. I mean, they're anything but cheap, but I think they sort of, if you were going to kind of compare supermarkets or shops, you might say that Iceland is slightly better than Poundland.
OK, well, thank you.
Thanks for what I mean?
Yeah, thanks very much.
It doesn't work if you have to explain it, do you?
No. Matt sends one here. He says... Hey, Porky, just because MG is not a little Englander and is more worldly than you doesn't mean he's anti-English.
That's very true. Well, thank you for that.
Well, hang on. To start off with, I've never accused him of being... sorry, I have never been accused of being a little Englander because I'm not a little Englander.
You are frequently accused of being a little Englander.
I'm not a little Englander.
Well, yeah, but you get accused of it, though. Doesn't mean you are.
I'm a proud Englishman. And to say that MG is more worldly than me, that's not a load of rubbish. This man is so naive in much of what he does.
Although I did predict, did I not, that David Cameron would be quitting on Friday morning, which he then did.
And so did I.
You said he was not a quitter.
No,
you said he was not a quitter.
I said he was going to leave and he'd be leaving at the party conference in October, which is exactly what he announced a couple of hours later.
Not entirely true.
Oh, yes, it is true.
You also said that Nigel Farage was a failure, and he's now being hailed as the great saviour of the whole Brexit campaign.
Well, as an individual politician, he's never achieved anything.
Yes.
Now, what I was going to say to you was...
well, he's achieved his life's work, which is to get Britain out of Europe.
Well, yeah, we're not sure about that yet, are we? We're not sure about that.
Well, who knows how that's all going to go.
Exactly. I mean, to start off with, we were only told after the vote, it takes 2 years to trigger this.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen for 2 years
I don't think we
now.
expected everything to happen on Friday. I think everybody knew that it was going to be a slow process.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody knows the answer. But I've got a thought for you, which we'll get into a bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
You know, I think referendums have caused massive problems in this country, both in Scotland and in England.
Yeah.
Because we don't seem to have a mature democracy here. Because if you're going to have a referendum, surely you have to be able to accept whatever the other side that wins goes on to do. Because at the moment, what we seem to have in Scotland is people who hate each other because they either voted yes or no.
That's right.
For Scottish independence.
Yeah.
Now in England, we have people who hate each other, or in the rest of Britain, because they either voted leave or remain.
What I couldn't understand was people, tweeting me from America saying, Britain's now regarded as xenophobic and racist country. Yeah. Sorry, what? Because we decided we want to pull out of a European agreement which involves unelected politicians.
Yeah.
Why are we xenophobic and racist? And there's a huge wave of people now who are insulting those who voted for Brexit, which I didn't, by the way, I was a Remainer, but those who voted for Brexit are now being labelled as too thick to understand the policies, and they're all racist and xenophobes.
There's all manner of people trying to rally round and make sure that somehow Parliament doesn't make it happen.
Well, I think
I saw your tweet to John, I think it was to Jon Snow, which was brilliant. Great, so just because you don't agree with somebody on what they've decided in a democratic way,
that's right.
You just bizarrely say we're not going to do it.
Just cancel it. We won't do it because this to me seems to be a huge movement of people now saying we better have a second referendum, which means we want the decision changed.
Yeah.
And I've actually been talking to people, I told you earlier, who said, no, I didn't really mean for us to come out.
Right.
You're interesting about what you said about referendums. Liam Gallagher, of all people, I spotted something from him in the last 36 hours, in which he said something like, why didn't we just leave it to the MPs to vote on it?
Yeah.
That's why we send them to Parliament.
Well, exactly.
And in many ways, he's right. For years...
Well, like
Mike,
I said, if it was a mature democracy, we could do it, but we're clearly not.
Yeah, well, for decades, right, and my mum and dad used to, drill this into my head all the time, not literally, obviously, but they said, 80% of this country wants to return to hanging. This is in the years after hanging was abolished, so I suppose it was when I was a kid in the 60s, something like that. 85, 90% of the country wants to return to hanging, but those MPs, they never go with the will of their constituents, always vote against it.
Yeah.
But that is what you've just said, the mature democracy.
Well, that's what you would like to think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's really unfortunate. I mean, because I've been reading stories over the week, as I'm sure you have, of people who say they've been disinvited to parties because of the way they voted. People at work have stopped talking to them because of the way they voted.
This is true.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
David has tweeted here. He says, "I feel uneasy this morning when a good friend invited me over for the weekend for a barbecue and to watch England-France."
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean you feel uneasy about going?
No.
Well, England aren't playing France now.
No, he felt uneasy about the presumption that we were going to be playing France next weekend. Because the quarters are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, aren't they?
Yeah. We're on Sunday, by the way, aren't we?
We are on Sunday, 1 till 4.
1 till 4. I've spoken to loads of people, David adds, including members of my family, who didn't seem to have known exactly what they were voting for.
Yeah, well,
David, for heaven's sake, shouldn't you educate the members of your family before they actually put their X on a particular piece of paper?
Exactly, but people are walking around in sort of shock, are all stunned and all that. I mean, our very own, on our sister station, Julie Hartley-Brewer, has been spending the last 36 hours defending the right of those who voted for Brexit on the basis that there's a majority of them, which you'd have thought was quite a simple, you would think it's part of the equation to understand.
It's not difficult to understand, is it? No, not at all. Now, we've got loads to do. We've got loads of calls to take. So do keep them coming in. 08717 22 3344. Do you want to have a look at some of the back pages this morning, which are not being very kind, as you would expect?
Well, they're not going to be, are they?
I think the one which is probably the harshest on Roy Hodgson is the Daily Mail.
I totally agree.
Which says, good riddance.
I know.
England stars were humiliated by us in a country of 323,000 people. Roy Hodgson quit within minutes, and we are glad to see the back of him.
Yeah, I mean...
They're not messing around.
That is very frank indeed. The Daily Express says it's humiliation for Hodgson as heart blunders. England suffered there. Do you remember we did a promotional thing for, our friend at a betting company, and which I said... I would like to see Fraser Forster given a chance in the England goal.
Yeah,
right?
I think we both said that.
Yeah, I think. I certainly said it. I don't know whether you said it.
Well, I mean, I've said. I'm not necessarily in that particular thing, but I've said for a long time that Joe Hart is very accident prone.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably, if he's anywhere near tears tonight, it's because he's worried that Pep Guardiola might be putting him on the transfer list.
That's right. And the eye is not kind at all. Outthought, outfought, out of Europe, out of a job. Hodgson resigned immediately after England suffered worst defeat for 66 years at the hands of Iceland.
Yeah, Ice Wallies, it says in the Sun, which is quite appropriate as well, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with that. I don't think enough credit's been given to Iceland. I mean, to call them Ice Wallies, I think is very harsh indeed, because they had a spirited, attitude which we didn't, which got them through. Yeah, wonderful country.
Well, I think it's a play, is it not, on Wallies with the Brollies?
Of course it does.
So, but I mean, the point is, the bottom line, if anybody had watched Iceland when they got that goal to get them through to the last 16 in the first place, in the dying embers of that game against Austria, your favourite backed team to be a dark horse, by the way.
That's right,
the Porky Jinx, by the way, people have been going on about.
I know,
this is the ultimate Porky Jinx.
Certainly is.
Because you came out and said that England would win, and most people thought they would, but I could see this coming. I have to say.
Well, I could, but I didn't want to say it.
No.
Now, the big battle now is for people to try and stop me lining myself now to Wales.
Yes.
Because although I'm not Welsh...
Even though technically you have a Welsh name, as we've already said.
Yeah, we've gone through that argument, thank you very much. But what I'm saying is, they're the last of the home countries left in the tournament, so my sympathies and my, my persuasions will go towards them.
Have you worked out the percentage, by the way?
What?
Of who's left in the tournament. Because you frequently like to do this, don't you? Show off your mathematical skill.
OK. Well,
because we had 25%, did we not, in the last 16? So how many have we got in the quarter-finals?
12.5%.
12.5%? Yeah. Half of 25%.
Yes, that's right.
1 out of 8.
Yeah,
that's about right.
That's right, yeah.
Well done. Have you given that a lot of thought then?
Yes, no, I haven't given a lot of thought.
Because it actually struck me, if England had gone through, we'd have still had a 25% representation, wouldn't we?
We certainly would, yeah.
But that was not to be.
That's not to be, indeed.
Brexit Hodgson on the back of the Mirror.
Yeah.
Clueless on the back of the Express. And Hodgson quits in disgrace.
Well, I was going to say...
That's a good one.
That's not even a tabloid headline. That is the Times, the Thunderer, the world's most famous newspaper. After 959 matches, this was the most humiliating defeat in England's history to a country of 330,000 people, managed by a dentist. Well, actually, he's the assistant manager, the dentist.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Hodgson quits in disgrace. Roy Hodgson resigned as England manager last night after his side suffered the ignominy of crashing out of the European Championship to Iceland in arguably the most embarrassing defeat in the national team's 144-year history.
Yeah, I know. But what about this one from William, who's tweeted in at the two mics? Statement on exit from another tournament. Roy Hodgson says these things happen.
Yeah, no,
unfortunately, these things happen on a regular basis, is what he says.
I can't honestly believe he said, I will remember. No, I'm going to do that. That's rude. I will remember my tenure as England manager with pride, and it's been a fantastic journey. My God.
Oh, I know.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with you, by the way. Why have you decided not to be rude to Roy Hodgson? But
well,
that's another thing for another day.
Don't kick a man when he's down. By the way, I'm having a massive problem with the tyres on the Merc.
I'll come back to you on that one, because we've got loads more to talk about. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
Indeed.
The two mics. Simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
UEFA Euro 2016 France on Talk Sport.
Vive le football! My contract was always up after the Euros, so now is the time for someone else to oversee the progress of this young, hungry and extremely talented group of players.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up a little bit later on, winners and losers, of course. It's currently 5.5 to 4.5 in my favour. We're going to take another call right now, though, from Steve, who's a Leyton Orient fan down in Eastbourne. Steve, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. What would you like to say, Steve?
Well, just an interesting one for you. Just want your opinion, really. Yeah. This is a bad result. Okay, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No.
But how does it rank in all of the England bad results? So I just want to put a few in front of you. Do you remember we got beat in Norway and some commentator went bad at the end?
Yes, that's right. Maggie Thatcher and all that, yeah.
Yeah, and Winston Churchill and stuff like that. That was pretty bad.
That was bad, yeah. Was that for a qualifying game for something, do you think?
I think it was. I can't remember. It was in the 80s, I think. Graham Taylor was probably manager.
Yeah, the Turnip.
The Turnip, yep. And then you had a game in Poland Oh, no, against Poland in the early 70s, 71, 72.
Yeah, that was qualifying for 74, and
and they had a goalkeeper called the Clown or something.
Well, no. Brian Clough was in the studio as a pundit, and he was inebriated because it was the first indication that Brian Clough had a bit of a bladderation problem. Okay,
he did.
So he kept screaming out.
Was it Jaruzelski or somebody like that?
Something like that. Thomas Jawensky or something. But he said, he's a clown. In fact, they were very good that night, Poland. We couldn't do anything more than a 1-1 draw.
And he was particularly good, the keeper, wasn't he?
Peter Shilton at the other end made a blunder when he failed to move for a ball, and they drew and went through, and we went out.
Peter Shilton played for Orient for a little while, by the way. People don't know that.
Sorry, say again?
Peter Shilton finished his career at Leyton Orient.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Played for Leyton Orient.
He became manager at Plymouth after that, by the way.
Yeah.
No, he actually played for us after he was manager for Plymouth.
Did he?
Okay. I think the reason... I'm sure you've got other games you want to mention, Steve, but I think the reason people are saying this one is so bad is because... Iceland,
such a small country,
with the best one in the world, are the lowest ranked team left in the tournament.
Yes.
England have had a pretty miserable tournament up to now, having only won one game against Wales, with that kind of last-minute goal by Sturridge.
Yeah.
And they've also just played really badly.
Yes.
And, to be knocked out of the Euros before the quarter-finals, which everybody had said was the minimum requirement to call the tournament a success, I think that's partly why.
I think so. I think this is probably... I remember all those other games. I remember us getting beaten Northern Ireland. I don't know when that was, the 90s, I think.
Yeah, 1-0, yeah.
Yeah. And then they talk about this game again in 1950, obviously, I don't remember that, against a part-time team of Plymouth.
Oh, this was the United States game, right?
But this probably beats them all.
I think it does. I think it does.
It does. It's that bad.
Right.
It's that bad.
And as an England fan, Steve, I mean, you've been watching the game presumably for 20 years or more.
More.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter going, "That's it for me now. I'm just not going to watch England anymore." Even when you lower the expectations, there are certain things you're entitled to expect, aren't you?
I think you're absolutely right. I can't. It really is disappointing. Yeah. It's really, really disappointing. And sometimes you lose and you walk away and you think, well, we really didn't deserve to lose that. Right. The rub of the green was against us. And you still feel bad about that.
Right.
We deserve to lose tonight.
The worst thing is when you feel an empathy with the opposition. And I felt a sort of empathy with Iceland because I thought, wow, a little country like this, they've come here, they're pounding these £300,000 a week players.
And they were good players as well, actually.
Yeah, they deserved the result. And that's the worst thing about it,
I agree.
But there you go.
So, Steve, who would you have next if you were able to choose any manager, even if it's somebody who's already in a job?
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about that quite a lot. And I know where the rankings are at the moment. And Gareth Southgate could do a job. He could.
Yeah, he couldn't do a very good one, though.
No, he probably... I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, he's been involved in the setup. He's English. Not that is the be-all and end-all.
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
But somebody earlier said something quite interesting. I think they said Benitez. And I thought that was quite an interesting call.
Yeah, I found that quite interesting. Although I would love it to be an Englishman, but if it's going to be an Englishman and we go through humiliations again, then I will have somebody who's kind of pseudo-English. Sven-Göran Eriksson was very pseudo-English.
Well, he wasn't English at all.
So,
you mean?
No, but he was. He could have been. I mean, he was kind of English.
Tomaszewski, by the way, is the name of the
Tomaszewski was the.
Thanks, Roy, for that.
The goalkeeper. Yeah. Okay, mate.
Steve, thanks very much indeed. I mean, I said to you last week, I think, and I don't know if you remember this, Michael O'Neill, who has done for Northern Ireland, much better than anybody could have ever expected.
Yes.
Who seems to have an ability to make the players play for each other.
Yeah.
I know that's easier done with perhaps not multi-billionaire superstars, but he seems to have a bit of a talent at organising the team as well.
I wouldn't put him in charge of the England team.
Well, I think he could do a lot worse. And then there's Jürgen Klinsmann, another name that I've heard bandied about, and I would mention as well.
Yeah, but he's not really proved himself at all international level. I don't think
he was no good as manager of Germany.
Yeah, but he wasn't any good as manager of Germany.
I wouldn't say he wasn't any good at it.
That was in 2006 when they went out out of the tournament in the quarter-finals, I think. I want to tell you a few things about Iceland, because we need to know these things.
Yeah,
okay?
go on. Well, it's one of your favourite destinations, isn't it?
It is, yeah. During the 70s, TV was banned on Thursdays, and for the whole month of July, because the government wanted its people to become more social and not socialist, social, and socialise more.
And actually just talk to each other.
Yeah, the result of this is a large number of Icelanders in their 30s and 40s have birthdays in April. 40% of the population.
Oh, I see. So when they said social, meaning actually getting involved in a bit of horizontal refreshment.
Horizontal refreshment's big in Iceland. No one is allowed to own a lizard, snake or a turtle as a pet for fear of spreading salmonella, right?
Okay.
I
didn't know they spread salmonella.
Yeah, they do. They're not very nice to puffins. They go around...
they eat those, don't they?
Yeah, they eat puffins, and they catch them by... there's 10 million puffins in Iceland, and they catch them with sky nets. So they throw the nets up and the puffins fly into them.
Really?
Yeah, which isn't very nice,
That's
really.
not very nice, is it?
And then...
But are they not a bit of a delicacy there as well, though?
Not really, because there's so many of them.
Did you go in a restaurant and see them on a menu?
No.
Really?
No. But it's Skyvin. The other culinary special is fermented shark meat.
Right.
Right.
They're quite, a bit like Scandinavia, they're like their sort of souse herring and stuff like that,
they do, yeah. They like, what's it called?
Cold sort of...
yeah, that's right. What's all the rolled fish stuff there on the smorgasbord and all that? Roll mops, that's right, yeah. Now, the other thing is, you won't believe this, but what they get bladderated, and I've had this on a liquor called Brennivin, okay? And it's Brennivin.
What's it like?
It burns the back of your throat because the Icelandic translation for Brennivin is burning wine. But the reason for this is, and it's translated in English, it's the Black Death, it's called. It's bottles of Black Death in every bar.
Yeah.
But the reason is, for decades, they wouldn't allow beer in the country, because beer was banned from 1915 to 1989 because it's mostly produced by the Danes, and the Danes were Iceland's former colonial masters, and it was therefore considered unpatriotic to drink Danish beer.
How interesting.
So
they don't make any beer of their own, then?
Don't make any beer of their own, no. They're a big enough country.
Because I see what I got when I was there, because I've told you I stopped off a couple of times in Keflavik and went to the Blue Lagoon, and, it was amazing
told me,
experience. And somebody specifically asked me to bring them back a particular, I can't remember the brand name of it, a particular kind of vodka, which is supposedly distilled through volcanic ash. So it's like,
I know that one,
it's got a special smooth flavour. It's very nice, I have to say. Very, very nice.
Can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember the name of it, no. But I brought a bottle of it back for somebody.
How about this? McDonald's hasn't... Iceland hasn't got a single McDonald's burger bar.
Really?
It used to have 3, but they just turned against it and said they don't want fast food. They took the last McDonald's quarter pounder, and it's now in a glass case in a museum, and it hasn't rotted.
Yeah.
It says, mischievous here, cheeseburger was removed and put into a glass case in a museum with a live video feed for people to watch it decompose, but it hasn't decomposed.
Right.
And the other thing you should know is it's got the lowest crime rate of any country in the world.
Is that right?
The annual murder rate is 0.3% per 100,000 inhabitants, making it the lowest in the world.
Wow.
They watch more movies per head each year than any other nation. That's because... part of the year it's dark every 24 hours a day, and they just all stay in.
You haven't been there when it's been like that, have you?
No, I haven't. No, I've only been there.
Because in the north of
day.
Scotland, it's quite like that as well.
It is, yeah.
And in fact, in the summer in Scotland, it's amazing because you can play. I remember going out and playing golf
at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Well, I teed off on the first at 8:30, and played until about 11.
Yeah,
it was great. Now, I found some Icelandic beer. You'll be pleased to know.
Okay.
Iceland is famed for its scenery and way of life, and its beer is worthy of a mention too.
Yeah.
Its crystal clear waters are used to create Icelandic beer of exceptional quality,
really,
with lager being the country's style of choice.
Okay.
But you say, as quite rightly, it says it went through an extensive period of prohibition because of that. But they've got this stuff called Einstock toasted porter, Einstock white ale, and Einstock pale ale. £2.78. You get a case for £65.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Maybe you should buy some in for the... are you going to be supporting Iceland against France then? Is that what you're telling me?
Probably.
Really?
I take a liking to
For the
Iceland.
French, you could say the old enemy for you, right?
Yeah, well, sort of. The 100 Years' War and all that. Icelandic people tend not to have surnames.
What?
Their last name derives from the first name of their father.
But that's why they're all son, isn't it?
Yeah, which is then combined with the ending son for boys or dotter for daughter.
Dotter, yeah.
Dotter.
Didn't hear any of that.
D-O-T-T-I-R.
Right.
Women keep their maiden names, thus Icelanders are mostly referred to by the first name. So you can imagine going round in life and you walk into, the passport office or something and...
well, you would be Parry's son, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. I'd be Mike's son.
Mike's son?
Well, I'd be Alan's son, because my dad's name was Alan.
Oh, OK.
So I'd be Alan's son, you see
Mike
what I mean?
Allenson?
Yeah, and...
Oh, so Allenson would be your surname, you mean?
Hang on. No, they haven't got surnames. They don't have surnames.
Right.
Everybody is son of.
Right.
OK, so Alan's son...
Why doesn't it go Alan's son then?
No, Alan's son...
Son?
No.
Well, surely it would just keep going, wouldn't it?
Well, it does. Largely does.
Yeah, but if you're the son of Allenson,
yes.
Are you not Allenson's son?
You would be, and then your son would be Alan's son as well.
Alan's son.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Absolutely. There's a government list of 3,565 approved first names, and if parents want one that's not listed, you have to apply to the Icelandic Naming Committee.
The Icelandic Naming Committee?
Yeah.
I named this ship...
And this is to preserve the language, which is very similar to ancient Old Norse.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's handy, that, because I know a bit of Old Norse.
Yeah, OK, yeah.
I'll remember that when I go there next.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for all these tips about Iceland. You should have had these last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, last week they weren't...
It's a bit late now.
No, it's not. Last week they weren't the most famous football nation in the world. Tonight they are.
Now, how about this one from Johnny? My choice for next England manager is so far out the box you need a telescope to see it. And I'm serious. Guess who he's going to say?
Go on.
David Beckham.
Yeah, well, I've heard... Yeah.
Well, it could be worse.
Yeah, it couldn't be worse in terms of experience, as David Beckham's never coached anything. Yeah. But, I mean, in terms of the sort of glamorous image...
Well, he knows how to take a
Iceland
free
have,
kick, so that would be a step in the right direction for a start.
It certainly would. By the way, I saw a lineup of the Icelandic wags before the game today. Very, very attractive ladies.
Don't you think so? Excellent. Well, we'll have a look at those in a little while.
Yeah.
Coming up next, though, we're going to talk about aliens and life on Mars. This is Talk Sport.
Is there life on Mars?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, winners and losers, coming up in a little while. We may have to discuss the rules and regulations for this winners and losers, Porky, because it may well be that we might want to leave some things out of it.
Well, maybe.
Because there's been so much dramatic stuff going on.
Yes.
How about this from Noel in Penzance, who's texted into 81089? He says, Iceland's population is so small that they have a dating app so that prospective partners can check as to whether they're related prior to Rogerisation.
Yeah, no, that's
pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I can understand that, because if you think about it, the likelihood of you being related in some way to somebody else, particularly as they are a very identifiably culturally different country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can, you're Icelandic or you're not. If you know what I mean, there's only 330,000 of them.
Right.
I can well understand that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And here's one from Larry, who says, "Tell Porky that most women in Iceland have the affix "dottir" to their names. It means daughter of, which I think you said.
Yeah, I did say
he says
that.
he went out with one.
Yeah. Well, good
very
for
nice,
you.
Larry.
Yeah,
very kind of you to refer to a former girlfriend
I
of
must
yours
give
as
it a
one.
visit sometime.
You must go back. Well, maybe we should go do a show there.
Yeah, we could go and do a show there. No problem with that at all.
Now, a place where we won't be able to go and do a show for some years, at least not in the fullness of time that we're likely to be alive, is outer space, of course.
Exactly.
Mars, which is currently being sort of probed and explored, and people trying to find out ways of maybe setting up colonies there, has been the subject of another story over the last few days, and that is, of course, that the Curiosity rover has captured an image of a tiny alien said to be standing behind a rock on Mars, peering around the corner. They claim it is 6 inches tall and compare it to the Atacama alien. Now, you know a bit about that because you went and saw the Atacama desert paintings.
In the caves there.
Let's talk to Stan Friedman, who's an expert on these things, see what he makes of it. Stan, a very good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's still evening here, you guys.
I'm sure it is. I don't know what time it is on Mars, but what do you reckon about this latest spotting of a so-called 6-inch tall alien?
I'm not a believer. I looked at the picture and I realized that people see faces and bodies and so forth in clouds and all kinds of... They even have a fancy name, which I can't remember, for the ability to see faces when there aren't any there.
Right.
But 6 inches is a bit much, too small for building spacecraft, I would think.
Yes, unless, of course, he's managed to shrink himself down in some way.
Well... That's a different sort of question. I don't know how to shrink people down.
Well, I'm sure we don't, but I mean, the idea is, presumably, is it not, that if there is alien life out there somewhere, the belief is that it would always be more highly developed and more kind of scientifically advanced than us. Of course, it might be the complete opposite.
Well, that's true. And the question is multifaceted because you have to ask, well, okay, suppose there was life there before, intelligent life, and there are a couple paper's been published, indicating that there may have been fusion nuclear weapons exploded on Mars years ago. They find certain isotopes that the only place we know where they can come from is fusion weapons. So maybe there were wars on Mars. Isn't that the god of war?
Yeah,
well, that's true.
I think it is.
But then maybe they don't call it Mars. Maybe that's just what we call it.
Exactly. I mean, Stan, the point is, you're a very credible and serious expert on UFOs. When people start inventing miniature Martians, it turns it all into, ribaldry.
A bit of a joke.
Yeah, ribaldry, a joke.
I don't agree.
And of course it does.
No.
Of course it does.
Why would you expect them to be life-size?
Well, why would you expect a Martian who's 6 inches tall
well, you don't know,
to be walking around in the view of a camera?
Well, you don't know.
No, it's rubbish. It's up to nonsense.
Well, we do know something. We do know that there are loads of reports on planet Earth of what appear to be aliens, from abduction cases, from physical trace cases, and all that sort of stuff. And these guys maybe they're gals, I don't know, tend to be, 3-4 feet tall. Mm-hmm. That's a long way from 6 inches. Mm-hmm. And the craft that are seen down here are reasonably sized. Ted Phillips has collected 5,000 reports of physical trace cases where people see the saucer on or near the ground, and when it leaves, one finds physical changes, the equivalent of burn circles, burn rings, landing gear marks, footprints. Now, these craft tend to be all under 100 feet. Mm-hmm. They're not motherships, and in 1/6 of these cases, there are beings, for want of a better word. I don't know. I doubt if they're Martians, but anyway, they're beings, and they seem to be, a few feet tall anyway. Mm-hmm. So maybe they have no connection with beings on Mars, but in the abduction cases, it seems clear that they can breathe our atmosphere. In other words, nobody finds beings with breathing masks and kind of special equipment, stuff like that.
Sure.
And the atmosphere on Mars, as you know, is, how shall I put this, very thin.
Yes.
Very inhospitable to something like us, as it were, which is why I think maybe anything is possible, and it might be smaller. But you were talking earlier about a psychological response to seeing faces, which apparently is called pareidolia.
Yes.
And there's also something called apophenia, where people see patterns in random, unconnected data, which I guess you must be used to in a way, Stan. But let me ask you this. Why do people...
you could see that in a forest at night, couldn't you? Walking through a tree... copse of trees or something.
You can. Yeah, well, sometimes your eyes can play tricks on you. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't mean you suffer from any kind of random disorder.
People are fallible. They're not 100%, let's face it. And I would say this, that having worked on nuclear fission rockets, one of the reasons we were working on those, this is back in the 60s, mind you, and we actually tested them on the ground. If you use them as an upper stage on a voyage to Mars, you could triple the payload compared with a chemical rocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
that makes it much more attractive, doesn't it?
Sure. Now, what about these suggestions that they're comparing this whatever it is, even if you don't think it's anything, comparing it to the Atacama alien? Which apparently
the Atacama turned out not to be alien either. The DNA test certainly didn't bear that out. So,
well, what was it then? If it was only 15 inches high and they managed to get some of the marrow out of the bones, it was some kind of humanoid, wasn't it?
Yes, a small humanoid, but humanoid, not other than human. I don't want to say Martian.
But there's not many 15-inch tall. There's not many 15.
Chilean? This thing, was it Chilean?
Well, we don't know, but there's not many 15-inch tall humanoids around on Earth today.
Sure they are. They're under a year old, some of them.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. But, I mean, this was a fully formed 15-inch high humanoid, wasn't it? Who reached adult, adult form.
Well, babies are adult form, too, I suppose you'd say.
That's not the way I read it. I studied it while I was there, and I tell you, they thought it was a fully developed adult human, 15 inches tall. So I think there's been a bit of a cover-up there, to be honest.
That sounds a very odd story, that, doesn't it?
Yes.
Very, very strange.
I would say it's a very odd story, and there are lots of odd stories associated with flying saucers, and... And people too. We don't live in a perfect world that is not rational, logical all the time. Sometimes it is, but not very often. So that's why I go for much harder data than this kind of thing, where you're dealing with what the heck is that?
So, Stan, in all your time studying these things, I mean, what have you been able to find as far as what you could tell us that there is evidence of any kind that there's aliens? I mean, have you got any hard evidence?
Sure. I talk about 5 large-scale scientific studies. The biggest study ever done for the Air Force involved 3,201 reports that were investigated by scientists at Patel Memorial Institute way back in the 50s. And they did all kinds of 200 charts, tables, graphs, and maps in the report. And on top of it, the Secretary of the Air Force lied through his teeth about the report. I don't like being lied to. That's the thing that really pushed me in the direction of looking into ufology. Ufology, not ufology.
And so what did you conclude, then, that they found?
I concluded from that study and several others that indeed some, underlined 37 times, some UFOs are alien spacecraft. The evidence is overwhelming because every large-scale scientific study has produced a substantial number of cases. I mean, how many? The question, remember, is not, are all UFOs alien spacecraft? The question is, are any?
Absolutely.
To that I say yes. To the first I say no.
Okay. Stan, we've got to leave it there, I'm afraid. Thank you very much indeed.
Stan
Friedman there, ufologist, as he says, not a ufologist, who says there's definitely something out there. We don't know quite what it is. It's more than likely not to be 6 inches tall. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
UEFA Euro 2016 France on Talk Sport.
Oh, zut alors! They've been fantastic, and they've done everything that's been asked of them. When I arrived, I was told that players didn't turn up to play for their country, or that they pull out at the last minute, but I've not seen any of that. These players love to play for their country, and their commitment has been unquestionable.
Well, something's not right. I'm not quite sure.
That's a load of rubbish.
Yeah,
as well.
I know.
The players did all that was asked of them.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, we're the fans.
Yeah.
We asked you to go and win a trophy.
Or at least get to the semi-finals.
Well, get to the quarter-finals even, you know, and they certainly didn't do that. So I'm sorry, that's another ridiculous statement in a ridiculous leaving speech, you know. Remember with pride my tenure as England manager. Really?
Yeah.
The fantastic journeys that end in car crashes.
Well, going nowhere.
Oh, yeah, and not fantastic journeys.
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
R. Stoddard says this is exciting news. Maybe we get a 6-inch Martian as an England manager. And slightly more seriously, Rich the Bread Man says, great show, gents, awful result tonight, but on the bright side, Roy has gone. Tip for the next England manager, Mark Warburton from Rangers. Again, you'd say, well, does he really have any kind of pedigree in that kind of arena? Here's one, let's see, from Scott from Grimsby. Wow, he says, impressive guest, gents. I've read many a book by Mr. Friedman. The guy is one of the go-to men on ufology, even though I don't agree with some of his theories.
He is, and indeed he loves coming on our show because we treat it very seriously.
Yeah.
Have I told you about my latest problem with my my blinking car and the brake and the tyres?
No, you haven't.
It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, I thought you had one of the world's most sophisticated cars.
I have.
With one of the world's most sophisticated dashboards.
So I'm driving back from the coast yesterday, right? Yeah. And what happens is the blinking warning comes up on the dash again. Like it's on.
What, the tyre pressure warning?
Yeah,
you're always getting that.
It says rectify tyre pressure, right? Now I've taken a picture of this. I'm going to put this picture out, so everybody knows the nightmare that I'm going through. And what this claims is...
Make sure there's no reflection in it, by the way.
No, it won't be reflection in it, no. And what this claims is that the top left tyre has a pressure of 285.
Yes.
The top right tyre has a pressure of 250.
Right.
The back left tyre has a pressure of 260. And the back right tyre has a pressure of 230.
And is this what it's telling you it is, or what it should be?
This is what it's telling me it is, but it says rectify tyre pressure.
Yeah.
Now, having looked in the book before when this happened, anywhere between 250 and 260 is fine. So what it's trying to tell me is that far from having a puncture in my top left tyre, the tyre's getting bigger.
What?
It's getting bigger.
Well, it's growing.
It's growing.
Well, the pressure is actually going up.
It's going up.
Could that not be down to the heat or something?
Well, listen, when this last happened, I went in to see my guy at QuickFit.
Yeah, he's looking forward to seeing you again, this guy.
Brilliant.
He's making a fortune.
I give him 15 quid tip every time I go in there.
Well, do you not think he's putting something in your tyre?
Well, I don't know.
To bring you back.
But the point is, when I went to see him last time, he went through the full works, got the car up on a ramp, he inspected... He did, honestly.
These guys see you coming from a mile away.
No, he got the car up on a ramp.
Yeah.
He inspected each tyre thoroughly. He said there's nothing wrong with your tyres.
Well,
he says, and I've put them all at a constant pressure.
Yeah.
I thought the front had to be more than the back because it carries the engine.
Traditionally, I don't know whether that's different.
Yeah.
But I mean, certainly that used to be the case, didn't it? The two front ones will be slightly different from the two back ones.
Doesn't seem to be the case anymore. But he said I've put them all at the same pressure.
Right.
But now the computer's telling me within the space of a couple of weeks there is a £55 per inch pressure difference between my top left tyre and my back right tyre, which means the car should be driving diagonally. Because there's... Yeah.
How can you drive a car diagonally?
I don't know, but that's that's the effect it would have if the tyre at the back is so much lower. But I'm going to put this out. I want people to see it to prove that I'm not going mad.
Maybe they can interpret it for you. Is it possible that there's something wrong with the sort of the...
the computer's wrong.
I'm thinking of the sensor system or whatever it is.
Well, all I can tell you is this means now I've got to take more time out to go to the Mercedes dealer and find out why the blinking... computer is giving me so much bum information. Computers are supposed to be smarter than me. But this one is not smarter than me.
There's nothing worse, though, when something does go slightly wrong on one of these very complicated cars, because there's nothing you can do without basically stripping it all down and starting again. They might have to take the whole thing apart.
No, they've got to connect it to another computer to write it. But, I mean,
they'll put the diagnostics machine on it, won't they?
Yeah, I would think so, whatever that is.
Well, that's what they now use. I mean, that's whenever there was anything wrong with my old jalopy, as you call it. If I took it to an ordinary garage that didn't have the Mercedes diagnostics machine, all they could do was find out very roughly what it might be. But when you go to a proper Mercedes, dealer,
that's right.
they will be able to put, they will be able to pinpoint precisely what's going wrong. I mean, are there any other bits of the computer that misfiring?
No,
is it
not
telling
at all.
you like the wrong temperature?
Not at all.
Is it giving you any other warning lights?
No, not at all.
Really?
I might get round.
And does
to
it
Mercedes.
bing? Does it go bing?
No, it doesn't.
No,
it just comes up. But I could go around to the Mercedes dealer in Epsom in Surrey and find out it's been closed down since we've Brexited Europe.
What?
Who knows?
No.
Who knows?
See, that's the kind of nonsense that people believe.
Eh?
That's the kind of rubbish that people believe.
How do you know?
That suddenly, Mercedes won't sell their cars here anymore because we're no longer in Europe.
Yeah, well...
No, the difference is that it's now going to cost a lot more money to buy one, because, the currency currently is not trading well.
Well, that's true. It's true if they were made in America, but I think you'll find that just as the pound has sunk after the Brexit result...
Yes, a 31-year low.
Yeah.
It was a 31-year low on Friday, by the way, so I guess it's still a 31-year low.
Yeah, but that's to the dollar, but to the euro, the euro's sunk just as far as the pound, so the parity difference is just the same.
Yeah, right.
So it won't cost more.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, except for, of course, if they decide to add on some kind of tariff.
Well, let's hope they don't.
Which is possible.
Because free trade is what makes the world go round, isn't it?
Well, so some people say that.
Right, I'm going to send out the picture now of my rectified tyre pressure gauge, right, so people know that I'm not talking a load of Veloxios, okay?
How about this from Mike, who says, where on any car is your top left and top right tyre?
Well...
Do you mean offside and near side?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Both at the front?
No.
Well,
I said top left 285... Back right,
but what do you mean by top left is what he's asking.
Well, if you're sitting in the car, top left is your left-hand tyre on the front, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I mean, yeah. So that's the near side, isn't it?
No, that's the...
That's where you drive.
That's the near side. That's the near side, yeah.
If you're driving on the left side of the road, that would be the near side tyre.
That's the near side.
And then the offside tyre would be...
The one at the back.
The top right. Well, no.
No, bottom right. I've said bottom right.
Well, why wouldn't the top right? Oh, so they're diagonally opposite each other.
That's right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Here's one from Steve. He says, I'm assuming that Porky wasn't sitting in the vehicle when tyre pressures were checked.
No, of course not, because it was up on a ramp. But my man who checked it all said there's nothing wrong with the tyres. But you see, you never know, do you?
Here's one from Dom, who says, Porky's car has more unique features than Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, I think it does have, absolutely.
Are you sure you weren't sold some kind of bootleg Mercedes?
No, of course not.
You get a cut rate on it or something?
No, it's an immaculate machine. It's just this one problem.
Well, it's going horribly wrong, though.
Well, you can imagine if you're speeding up the A3M at 5:30 in the morning and this comes on, you think, hang on, one of the tyres is going to blow or something like that. Because
I think you should be very concerned.
Because if one tyre's getting fatter and it's gone up to 285 compared to $230 for another tyre, then you have to say to yourself, hang on, is that tyre about to blow?
Well, if it's artificially inflating itself,
yeah,
you'd have to worry about that.
It's very
By
weird.
the way, I didn't ask you this, and I think I'm right in saying it was before the referendum show that we did on Thursday. Was it Wednesday when you said it was when there was a big storm and you hardly had any petrol? What did you do in the end? Did you go all the way home, or what did you do?
No, I made it as far as Lambeth Road.
Oh, so you didn't go to that petrol station I recommended?
No, I didn't actually.
You should have done.
Yeah, but the car was pointing in the opposite direction when I came out and got in it.
So I drove around then?
To Lambeth. It's about a mile and a half. I went very, very slowly, but I was petrified that when I got to the garage, I would find a flooded forecourt.
Yeah, or maybe they weren't open or something.
Well, and they switched it off because of the electrics or something like that. However, luckily I managed to fill it up and got away with it.
Yes, no, I know you did. I just wanted to know what the details were. Phil says this, you're still in warranty with your Benz. Why don't you just take it into the dealership and start complaining? That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
So why do you keep taking it to the other place then?
I don't want to take it to the dealership.
No, but you said you keep taking it to the guy with the the ramp and the wrench.
Well, I reckon if you've got a nail in your tyre or something, it's not covered on the warranty. You have to buy a new tyre, you know. And I've already
Unless
bought
they
one.
can fix it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've already bought one.
Maybe this guy sold
£160.
you a dodgy tyre.
No, he hasn't. No,
it's possible.
No, he doesn't.
Chris says Porky's tyre is growing due to the illegal 6-inch alien immigrant within.
Yeah, maybe.
Very
Yeah,
possible.
it could be something like that.
Now we've got loads more to do. Coming up,
Certainly
winners and
have.
losers. I think coming up next, what we should do is work out what the winners and losers should be. We've got to do listography, of course, as well. This is TalkSport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. Coming up in the next hour, it is winners and losers, of course. We're going to do listography as well. Do you want me to throw you a few suggestions for listography first?
Yes, please, yeah.
We've got this one from Becky, who says, following the England shock defeat, list your 3 biggest failures in life. That might be a little bit closer to the bone, I suppose, mightn't it?
Yeah.
Also, 3 times you've been embarrassed by your country. 3 turning points from rock bottom which led to success. 3 decisions you didn't think would happen. 3 times you met a famous person and was terribly let down. 3 favourite or inspirational quotes. 3 places you want to see or visit. 3 players from the Euros that Premier League clubs should sign.
Yeah.
Which is not bad, I suppose. I turn 20 tomorrow, says Els. How about 3 pieces of advice you would give yourselves aged 20? 3 practical jokes you've played on people. 3 ways...
I don't play practical jokes on people.
Don't you?
So immature.
Yeah. Well, you never even did it when you were immature.
No. Sorry? No. I don't do that. No.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
3 ways to leave a lover. 3 favourite films. We've done that.
Ways to leave your lover. Well, 3 favourite films.
3 favourite films.
Can we do that?
We could do that.
Well, everybody knows who my favourite film is. It's Top Gun. I've said that a million times.
You've never seen the end. Well, maybe we shouldn't do that then.
Well, maybe not.
Well, maybe we should do 3 favourite films apart from Top Gun.
Okay, yeah. All right.
That?
Yeah. I'll have that.
Because I wouldn't put Top Gun in my 3 either.
Right, okay.
Okay, so 3 favourite films. Now, the other thing we have to do is discuss winners and losers and whether there should be any parameters. I don't mind if there are or if there aren't. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
I don't think there should be.
So you can put anything in, whether it's Brexit-related, whether it's Roy Hodgson-related.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I suppose the watchword will just have to be that you'll have to try and be as imaginative as possible.
Yes, exactly.
Like, it would be boring if you just said England, wouldn't
Exactly, yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How about this from Phil, who says, maybe Hodgson is an Icelandic name. This would explain a lot.
No, it's not actually.
Hodgson.
No, it's...
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I do see what you mean, but no, it's that's not the case, I'm afraid.
And here's one from Top Cab. Hodgson should have got his P45 after the World Cup. That was bad enough. As for the next manager, if Gareth Southgate is the best we've got, we might as well give the game up. What about Pellegrini?
Yeah.
Well, there's an interesting suggestion.
Who?
Manuel Pellegrini.
Why?
Why not?
Well, he's
won cups. He's Chilean, yeah.
Well, I don't want him
Well,
as the
Chile
new
have just
manager,
won
thank
the
you.
Copa America, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, yeah. Lionel Messi might have retired, for all we know, although I doubt it. I mean, do you see what his scoring record is for Argentina? 1 out of every 2. He scored in 1 game out of every 2.
Who?
Messi.
Oh, yeah, he has, yeah. He's retired, though, isn't he?
Hey?
He's retired.
Well, I was just about to say, I said that to you, and you didn't listen and hear me. But
I was reading something.
Yeah, well, you should pay attention.
Because I was trying to find out whether this person was meaning you harm.
Why?
Well, because he says, God forbid Porky should have a terrible accident because of his faulty tyre pressure.
Yeah.
I think he actually means that genuinely.
No.
Because your tyres are the thing that keeps the car safe.
Well,
I mean, it's one of the most important things that you must make sure doesn't have a problem.
What people don't realise, but I do because I'm smarter than the average bear, is that basically about 48 square inches of rubber is all that keeps you attached to a road. Do you know that?
I know. And that's quite worrying, isn't it?
At any one time.
If you're doing 70 miles an hour.
At any one time.
I mean, I was slightly concerned.
It could be even less.
Well, do you remember I told you last Monday
Yes.
I had to come up in the other car because I had a puncture, which I got fixed. But
Yes.
because they've only repaired the tyre, I'm still sort of slightly discombobulated by it. Because I think to myself, well, this tyre's now had a hole in it, and it was completely flat a week ago.
Yeah.
Now it's supposed to be fine.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm thinking I might just
You never know.
Might just go and get it replaced
You
anyway.
never know. You never know. I would, if I were you.
How about this from somebody who doesn't give a name? I know, from Ray. My car's display used to tell me that it was minus 40 degrees outside and that my car only had one wheel. I got the display disconnected.
Really?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics.
The quarter-finals of UEFA Euro 2016 France live.
Friday night from 8 on Talk Sport.
Full uninterrupted commentary of Wales versus Belgium.
Wales does it again.
Meanwhile, our Scottish listeners, if they decide to stay in, can enjoy full swing-by-swing golf commentary of the third day's play from the Earl of Hell Championship. Live from Loch Lebo Pitch and Putt Course, Barhead. There's something for absolutely everybody, even in Scotland, on Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Of course, you can tweet us at the two mics. You'll be able to vote for the winners and losers coming up on that Twitter account a little bit later on. One thing we haven't mentioned, Porky, even though you wouldn't think it was like that, looking out at the sort of weather we've been having, Wimbledon fortnight has begun.
Yes.
So I suppose we should mark that in one way, shape or form.
Yes, old Djokovic won today, didn't he?
And he did indeed.
I think he won his first set to love. And then had a bit of a harder time with the British guy that he beat, unfortunately.
Right, but another British guy is making headlines on the back page is Marcus Willis.
Oh, yeah.
Who may end up finding his way into winners and losers, I suppose.
Right, what's he doing?
Without giving too much away. Well, he's managed to get into, his number's 772 in the world.
Yeah.
His season's earnings total £213 so far from a Tunisian Futures Tour.
Yes.
He's guaranteed a £50,000 payday because he beat Lithuania's Rikardas Berankis 6-3, 6-3, 6-4, and he's going to play Roger Federer.
Is he?
So, I mean, he's done rather well.
Yeah, he has done
and
rather well.
I mean, you have to say he's probably not going to last another round.
No.
I mean, to make 30 or 50 grand, considering he's only made 200 so far.
Yeah, 200.
Is your sort of player, isn't it?
Not 200,000.
No, £200.
£200.
He's literally made £200.
Yeah, I've got him
from a Tunisian Futures Tour event.
He's rated at number 772 in the world. Did you say that?
I did say that.
Yeah, good.
You weren't listening, were you?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. No.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah, well, there you go, you see. So it's not all bad news for the British in the world of sport, except it is, of course, because...
not for the Welsh.
Not for the Welsh. Now, the thing is, I'm going to unashamedly support the Welsh for the rest of the tournament.
As no surprise. Well, you've always given me a hard time for being British and supporting any British team that's in the tournament.
No. I've got to support the British team because I'm British.
Yes.
You know, I'm first of all English, then I'm British.
Okay.
And Wales are part of the United Kingdom. They will have my support. I won't
sure
go
they'll
as
be
far,
delighted.
I won't go as far as wearing a Welsh shirt because that would be ridiculous, but I'm going to try and find a Welsh symbol to wear on the day they play. Which day do Wales play?
I think they might be playing
Thursday,
on,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 4 games.
I can tell you precisely if you wait 1 second.
If we have a look and weigh up the way the games are panning out.
I've got the things here. Saturday is Germany against Italy.
Yeah.
Sunday is France against Iceland.
Yes.
Thursday is Poland against Portugal.
Yeah.
Friday is Wales against Belgium.
Well, then get on Friday's Wales
from
Day.
Stade Pierre Mauroy in Lille.
Yes, okay.
All live on Talk Sport, of course.
Yeah, all live on Talk Sport, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to be Welsh on Friday just for the day because I want them to get through and fly the flag for the United Kingdom. Okay.
Yeah, all right then.
Yeah.
And I mean, they might do. I think they've beaten Belgium before, haven't they, in qualifying?
I think they beat them once and drew with them once.
Yes, I think so.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah,
I think they got 4 points.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not bad at all.
No, very good indeed. Now, some issues that we need to turn our attention to.
Yes.
Did you know how good peanuts are for you?
Peanuts.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I did know that.
Yeah.
But it depends on what kind. Doesn't it?
But it's not just peanuts. It's hazelnuts and all forms of nuts.
Nuts in general.
Yeah. And
you're usually going on about nut shortages, aren't you?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I've told you before that occasionally I will, take a walk across the North Downs, and there's a pub at the end of it, and sit down and have a couple of pints with a packet of salted peanuts.
Yes.
Now, you've always said, what do you do that for? And all that kind of stuff. People say, very weight-inducing and all that, but they're not. They are fantastically good food.
Weight-inducing?
Yeah. Well,
so you mean sort of calorific?
Yeah, calorific, that's right, yeah. But listen to this. How eating nuts can slash prostate cancer death risk by a third.
All right.
Men with prostate cancer can slash their risk of death by more than a third by eating nuts regularly, a major study shows.
Oh, yeah.
5 1-ounce servings a week of any type of nut cut mortality rates by 34%, researchers found. Now then, here are the choice of nuts you can eat, OK?
Yeah.
Pistachios,
yes,
which I can't stand.
Very expensive pistachios, aren't they?
Well, they're in shells, aren't they? You break them and...
Well, all nuts come in shells, generally, don't they?
No. Peanuts don't come in shells.
Peanuts come in shells.
No, they don't.
But if you buy them in a packet, they've been shelled.
Well, they're not.
But nuts come in shells.
There's no shells in the packet.
No,
mate,
not in the packet. But if you go, for example,
Yeah.
if you go to like Raffles,
Yes.
where you take the peanuts out of the shell, you
Yes.
throw the shells on the ground.
Yes.
They're in a shell.
Yeah, well,
all
okay.
nuts
well,
are
I
in a
don't
shell.
do that. I buy them out of a blue packet.
Did you
of
do
KP.
that when you were in Raffles?
No. KP nuts, mate, are the best peanuts in the world. I
Really?
always eat them.
Okay.
And if the pub hasn't got them, I go and get a packet.
KP endorsement going on here.
No. Now then, so you'd have you have to count your nuts. So 45
It's always a
pistachios.
good idea.
Yeah, 45 pistachios. 28 peanuts.
Yeah.
This makes up the 1 ounce serving.
Are you talking about like a daily intake?
Yes.
Okay.
24 almonds.
Yeah. Almonds.
Yeah. Now they don't come in casing. You see, 16
No,
cashews.
of course they do. All 16 what?
Cashews.
Cashews.
Yeah. That's
They
what I
all
said.
come inside, as you call it, a casing, a nut casing.
Yeah.
That's how they grow.
Okay.
They don't just grow on a tree without a casing.
Well, hang on. Jimmy Carter was a peanut farmer.
Yes.
Okay, he was also president of the United States
He
of
was.
America, but he had the biggest peanut farm in the whole of Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh yeah.
And
Did he?
yeah, he did. Yeah, and that's where he made his money. And I went to his farm once.
Did you?
I didn't see any cases.
Well, what did you see?
Load of nuts, sort of bagged up. I didn't see any.
That's because they bag them up, but they take them out of their casing.
Yes. Anyway, listen.
Shell, as other people call
This
it.
has come from one of my medical journals. Largest ever study into the effects of a
Nut
nut-rich...
Weekly.
A medical journal, you idiot.
Right.
The effects of a nut-rich diet on prostate cancer. Now, you see, you've got to get serious here. 35,000 men a year in the UK get
they do.
prostate cancer.
But luckily, we're getting better at detecting it
Yeah,
and
we are.
finding. And if you get it, discover it early enough.
Yes.
There's many more survivors of it now, right?
That's right.
Which is good.
And you'll stop laughing now when I tell you this study was published in the British Journal of Cancer.
Really?
And it was put together by experts at Harvard Medical School in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the phrase "in a nutshell"?
In a nutshell,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, why do you think that phrase exists?
Yeah, but that exists for, like, walnut shells. It doesn't exist
Every
for
nut
peanut
has a
shells. I don't think peanuts
Yeah, of
have
course
shells.
they do.
Honestly, I don't.
They do. I've seen you can buy them in their shells.
I don't think so.
If you wish.
I don't think so.
Now, what about this one for you? Scientists in Germany have been attempting to find out how music affects a listener's blood pressure.
Yes.
'Cause I don't know whether you watched any of Glastonbury over the weekend, but there were some great performances, some not so great
Well,
performances.
Adele apparently was brilliant.
No, actually, not true. Incorrect.
What,
Adele
did you
was
watch
not
it?
brilliant. Yeah, I did watch it. Yeah, it was awful.
Well, I read the reviews of her and it said she was brilliant. It was rather foul language.
I watched it and it was rubbish. Actually.
Why did you say that?
Well, I mean, it's may again form part of winners and losers. Basically, she's now been a global superstar for what would be considerably at least 4 to 5 years, right?
Yeah.
She still does this kind of little girl lost thing where she goes, "Oh, do you know, I'm just a little girl from Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, and last night I was doing some dishes and watching the telly and was really nervous." And she's a great singer and a terrific person, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I just don't think she was right for Glastonbury. She was singing like a kind of a lounge singer style to 200,000 people. It just doesn't really work.
Somebody said that the slow, dreamy ballads were actually right against the sort of rock and roll
it just
atmosphere
it just wasn't quite the right thing. you know?
And
that's what I would say.
Yeah.
But what I'll tell you about coming up is why it's better to listen to Mozart than it is to listen to ABBA, apparently.
Okay.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Bit of Mozart for you?
Yeah, a bit of Mozart,
It reminds me of Trading Places whenever I hear that, because that was, of course, the music they used for that.
Yes, that's right.
Now, according to this study, right, which was from researchers at Ruhr University, they exposed... Ruhr.
What, in
University
Germany?
of the Ruhr, Ruhr. They exposed volunteers to several different pieces of music, including Mozart's Symphony No. 40 in G minor and a compilation of ABBA songs. And apparently, listening to Mozart lowered systolic and diastolic blood pressure by quite a significant amount, whereas apparently listening to ABBA made no difference at all. So if you want to lower your blood pressure, you should be listening to classical music.
Yeah, but I think that's fairly well known to everybody.
You think that's obvious?
Well, I think it is a fairly obvious.
I don't know, really.
I'll tell you what I was reading the other day. I read this brilliant piece about Billy Joel.
Oh, yeah.
Right, who has not written a new song for 22 years.
Has he not?
And says, I'm not going to. He says, when people come to my concerts, because he's doing Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I saw it at Madison Square Garden.
Did you? Yeah. For about 3 consecutive nights. And then he's coming to London to fill Wembley Stadium. Right. And he said... and this is all related to what you've just told me. He said, I haven't written a new song for 20 years because when I go to when people come to see me, they want to see my old they want to hear my old classics.
Well, you've often made that argument, haven't you? You don't go and see people like the Beach Boys or Elton John to watch their new catalogue.
To listen to their new records, because until you've heard a record 3 or 4 times, you can't familiarise yourself with the sound of it, so you're not aware of it. Now, what he did say was... He said because he doesn't need influences on modern music anymore, the only thing he ever listens to is classical music. Right. He says, I listen to Beethoven a lot. He mentioned Schubert, Mozart, and he says...
Well, he's a classically trained pianist. Also, he went to Juilliard School, I think, in New York.
I didn't know that, because he actually said that the worst part of his whole act is his piano playing.
Really?
He says, I'm not a very good piano player.
Yeah, but he's a classically trained pianist.
Well, he says he's not very good at it. He says, I've got better qualities. He also, amazingly, hit out at Elton John, because they used to tour together, and they contrasting styles of their piano playing and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But then he made a reference to the fact that Elton John doesn't write lyrics, and I didn't know that. But
does Bernie Taupin write all the lyrics, yeah?
Well, yeah, but somebody else writes him now, I think. And once he mentioned this, and, he sort of didn't brand Elton John as just a piano player, don't shoot me, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But he kind of made out that he wasn't a proper performer, because he wasn't writing
because he doesn't write the songs. Well, I mean, I think that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, I think it is, yeah. But he's a terrific guy, Billy Joel. When he was a kid, he's always said this thing, I'm just a Jewish kid from Brooklyn, you know. And
I thought he was from Long Island, wasn't he?
Yeah, I
Long
thought...
Island.
I
thought he was from out near Oyster Bay.
Hang on. Yes, he is, actually, because... Can't Brooklyn be defined as part of Long Island?
I suppose technically you could say it's part of it, but you wouldn't normally refer to it as such, would you? Because Long Island, for me, kind of begins outside of the borough of Queens and Brooklyn.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I've heard him referred to himself as just a Jewish kid from Brooklyn. Maybe he moved to something. But anyway, what you say about Oyster Bay is quite right.
Yeah.
As a kid of about 10 or 12... He used to work on fishing boats in Oyster Bay, which used to catch oysters, believe it or not.
Yeah, amazing that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they call it that.
That's why
we still haven't had the oysters, by the way. We'll have to try and do that.
We'll have to try and do the oysters. Anyway, as the early morning sort of mist evaporated and came up, he used to look at this house on an island in Oyster Bay, a magnificent mansion with cottages and all that. That's where he lives now.
Yeah.
He said,
it's an amazing place. It's very, very wealthy. I went out there, in fact, it's for John McEnroe's wedding, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
And it was one of the first weddings where they decided to sell their story to one of the big magazines like Hello or whatever it was.
Yes.
And so they'd set up this, and all the locals had come out to see the wedding. Yeah. And I think it was to Tatum O'Neill.
Right.
That's how long ago it was, back in the 80s.
Yes.
But they'd set up this massive tent outside the church.
Yes.
So the limos would all pull up inside a white tent so that nobody could get a picture.
Right.
So no one could get a picture. So we being the,
Where was the church?
It was somewhere in Oyster Bay. It was out that kind of way, because that was where he was from.
Right.
He was a very wealthy father. He was a lawyer, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right.
And basically, we managed to whip up the crowd into such a frenzy that they started chanting, "Show us your face, John!"
Yeah.
And so eventually they got so upset, because it went on all through the church ceremony.
Yeah.
Show us your face! And so they eventually came out and posed for one picture, which we all got, which very, very upset the old Hello lot. They'd hired like bodyguards and all sorts of trying to stop people taking
and all sorts of
ridiculous.
things.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Now I'm going to tell you about a Fleet Street scandal, right?
Yeah, okay.
Because our listeners like this, right?
They do, yeah. They like a bit of scandal.
Now, many years ago, Sarah, Duchess of York, right? she had an assistant called Jane Andrews.
Oh, yes, I remember her.
And Jane Andrews had flaming ginger hair like Fergie, and people often...
like you used to.
Yeah, like I used to, indeed. And people used to often mistake them for sisters.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was the personal assistant Dutch Door, but they were so close, they used to actually... lend each other clothes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They used to go...
Well, she was like her lady in waiting or something, right?
Well, but she was more like a friend. Anyway, unfortunately, Jane Andrews turned out to be a bad un because she murdered her boyfriend.
She did?
Her boyfriend's name was Thomas Cressman.
And did she not try and sort of embroider some elaborate tale around it as well?
Absolutely. Thomas Cressman was an American from a wonderful family. I think they're based up in, like, Harvard territory, sort of Boston, around there or something. And
Boston Brahmins.
Yeah, and what she did was, Jane Andrews... she was living with the boyfriend, and in one conversation one evening, he indicated that he wasn't, that sure about going ahead quickly with the marriage.
Right.
And when he went to lie down upstairs, she went upstairs, hit him with a cricket bat to concuss him, and stabbed him.
Right.
And
it was a horrible murder, I seem to remember.
It was terrible murder.
She went to prison, didn't she?
Oh, for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think she did about 14 years.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point of the story is she then drove off into the West Country, and it was the early days of mobile phones, and she sent messages back saying, what's all the panic? Why are people sending me messages? What's going on? And all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then, actually... allegedly, was found trying to commit suicide in a lay-by somewhere, because...
So was this before they had those kind of triangulation stations and the ability to find out where you were when you sent a particular message?
Absolutely.
Right.
She was just found, I think she was trying to cut her wrist or something.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, she got jailed in 2001. I think she got out last year. So she did 14 years, which the family of her victim, by the way, think was no time at all for taking a man's life.
Sure.
That's their view.
And particularly not just taking a man's life, but also then seeking to conceal it.
Oh, not only seeking to conceal it, but also...
Did she not try and blame somebody else?
No, she tried to blame him. She said that he had attempted to rape her.
Right.
And so she really blackened his character in court, and the family were very upset about that as well. Anyway, the point of my story is this. It has become a rumour in the publishing world that she is now going to publish her memoirs.
Isn't there a rule against that, though?
Well,
aren't you supposed to not profit from your crimes? Which seems a very woolly rule, because a lot of people seem to be doing it now.
Yeah, I always thought we'd agreed in, like, the Fleet Street to go along with that you can't let criminals profit from their crimes. Yeah. But, I mean, this was a dastardly crime. It really was a shocking crime of the very worst kind.
Yeah.
And rumours are, in gossip columns and all that kind of stuff, that a deal is being put together.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I mention all this is because in the days when Fergie was literally in the papers every day...
Yes.
And
toe-sucking, etc.
Toe-sucking, the bald-headed guy called John Bryan.
That's right,
in 1992, photographed in the south of France, sucking Sarah's toes.
Right, I remember that.
Jane Andrews was at her side all the time. Now, it is rumoured, because, of course, we've been immersed in Fleet Street for the last 25 or 30 years, that some of the old correspondents in those days, and there was an army of them, as you know.
Not to mention photographers as well.
Well, an army of writers and photographers. Yeah. And who was our pal, the Great Red Tomato? James
Whittaker.
James Whittaker was one of them, and all that.
No longer with us.
James no longer with us, so I'm using his name because he can't sue us. But it is, you see what I mean? Because he's dead.
Yes.
But it is alleged that Ms. Andrews became very friendly with some members of the press.
Is that right?
It is, yeah.
What, you mean in a way which might have been in some ways compromising, you mean?
Well, yes, indeed. And, these guys travelled the world with Fergie and all that kind of stuff. And it's a bit like the old cricket thing, the old what goes on tour stays on tour type stuff, And in fact, the rather difficult position some of them found themselves in when she was charged with murder was that she sought character references from them to say what a decent person she was.
Yes.
And that, this was a
and
terrible
none
mistake.
of them did that for her.
No. Nobody's going to own up.
Are you saying there might be some retribution coming?
Well, I'm only thinking that if I'd have been involved in those days and I heard she was suddenly writing her memoirs and on racy stories and all that, I might be, sort of checking out to see whether, just because of Brexit, we can't get on a ferry to France.
Yes,
and, you know what I mean?
Indeed, and or buy up all the copies so that, as is their way. Although a book like... See, I find it amazing, though, that if she's allowed to do that, because she's basically effectively going to be profiting from her crime, but, I mean, presumably all the newspapers would be aware of some of these stories and would not necessarily serialise the book.
Well...
Or wouldn't buy the book, unless it's about Fergie, I suppose.
Well... I think you can say that, it's a long time now. This was going back to, like, the late 90s, right?
Yeah.
So going back maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
Some of them, like Jamie, will have died.
Yeah.
Some will have retired.
Because, I mean, Johnny Bryant wrote the book, didn't he, way back when, which was the subject of, quite a bit of skullduggery.
Oh, that's right.
Because the Mail bought the book up.
That's right.
And the Express, who I was working for at the time, were desperate to try and find a copy of the book to do a spoiler.
Yes.
And, I mean, there are still not enough statute of limitations, shall we say, for me to even describe what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
But suffice it to say that I found myself at one point in possession of a manuscript of the book.
Yes.
Which I had to hide.
Excellent. Yeah, good.
I can't tell you why or where, but, it was all very difficult.
Well, I mean, there were in those days, didn't a colleague of ours get arrested at a hotel in possession of a manuscript?
This is why I don't want to talk too much about it, because clearly that was the manuscript.
In fact, I think his wife got arrested for it.
She did.
Yeah.
Well, she went to try and sell it to the Sun,
That's right? Yeah.
And she rang up the Sun news desk to say, "I've got a copy of this manuscript." They then tipped off the police to say this is obviously stolen.
That's right.
Because I guess times had changed to that extent. Yeah. And when she was then arrested, she said, "Don't you know who I am?" And then blurted out that she was the wife of a senior Fleet Street executive.
Exactly,
yeah, which was when it then became necessary to remove one of the copies of the manuscript from the building.
That's right.
Because the next place they were going to raid was the Express offices.
Exactly.
Extraordinary.
So that was a loser. The other thing I should tell you about Ms. Andrews, Jane Andrews, is being extremely careful if you're looking for a bit of the legoverism sort of opportunities which websites bring. It says here, since her release in June last year, Ms. Andrews, the murderess, as they describe her, has tried to resume her love life, dyeing her hair blonde and registering on a dating website.
Oh, God.
Be extremely careful.
Be very careful.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the good reasons why you would never do anything like that.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport, fascinating tale. We've got loads more of those to come. And, of course, winners and losers coming next. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and of course, this is the most controversial competition ever in the history of Talk Sport. And it's 5.5, 4.5 to me. I suppose if we have this one, we then have next week, which will be just after the quarterfinals have finished.
Yes.
So we'll have another one after that, won't there?
Yes.
So there'll be so basically 3 more.
Right. Okay.
It would seem. So I'm 1 point ahead. So you probably need to draw level this week, if at all possible.
Okay.
Now, we said earlier that we won't have any restrictions on what you can nominate, whether it's got something to do with Brexit or England or anything like that. So what would you like to do? Would you like to go first with your losers, or would you like to go first with your winners?
I think I'll go first with my losers, OK?
OK, off you go.
Right, OK. My first loser is David Cameron.
Yeah.
Sorry I've jumped in there on that, but it has to be. I'm sorry, because he is the ultimate loser, because a year ago, he was in such an advantageous position. He had a majority government, and he had a Labour Party falling apart under their new leader, Jeremy Corbyn. It couldn't have been better. And when he promised a referendum, he should have done what most other politicians do and just changed his mind when he got into power. Or, as he'd already told us, that he was not going to complete this term of office, right? He's going to hand over before the end. Well, why not wait till then? 3 years in.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he also, not only that, but he had, and it's a very good choice, I'm not going to argue with it, I'm not going to choose the same thing, because he was also almost in a position where he was going to be one of the great Conservative Prime Ministers of all time.
Exactly. And he could have done a third term.
Now he's completely buggered himself and the country.
Completely gone. I mean, just completely shattered his own political life, and as you quite rightly say, plunged the country into turmoil. So that's my first. My second loser is Tyson Fury.
Yes.
Tyson Fury, world heavyweight champ, not only is he subject to rumours that steroids might have been involved in part of his training programme, which has now been investigated, but he most recently was seen allegedly at a rave in Wales, a rave party, and then in a pub with England fans in France, supporting England. That's not the way a world heavyweight champion...
He's denying all of this, of course, isn't he?
Well, he's denying the steroids, of course he is, but he's not denying being out and about with the fans. Meanwhile, the fight that he should have taken against Klitschko has been put back now to November, a year later than it should have taken place. I'm afraid he is rapidly losing his own reputation and damaging the sport of boxing, OK?
Yes.
And my third loser is Mesut Ozil. Although Germany are winning, and they won 3-0 in their latest game, Mesut Ozil...
They haven't let a goal in yet, have they?
No, haven't let a goal in. Mesut Ozil missed a penalty to make it 4, and that's the third consecutive penalty he's missed. He missed 2 for Arsenal, and he's missed 1 for Germany. So I'm afraid he has to be put down as a loser.
Well, I suppose that any German player that can't score a penalty would be unusual.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I'd say of all the sporting endeavour over the weekend, I'm quite surprised you've chosen him, because my first loser has to be, I mean, yours was obviously David Cameron.
Yes.
It has to be Roy Hodgson.
Yeah, of course
Roy Hodgson, absolutely, completely and utterly useless, has now finally resigned from the job.
Sure.
I mean, I suppose you might say that there's some good will come of that, because we'll get a new manager.
But you see, in fairness, I didn't want to take the big political loser and the big sporting news. I left the big sporting news to you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Because I'm gentlemanly.
In this new spirit of glasnost, or whatever it is, perestroika, I'm quite confused by it all. But Roy Hodgson, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself, really. I mean, I don't need to say that, England have only managed to win 1 game in the last 2 tournaments, that they were kicked out of the World Cup in Brazil after having only played 2 games before their 3rd game, and to lose to Iceland, the lowest ranked team in the tournament that's left in it. They have to play France, and all he can say is he hopes that at some point England fans will see England in the final of a competition at some point. My second loser is Lionel Messi, because of course, as you know, he played in the Copa America final against Chile, same as last time, and lost. Not only did he lose, but he put a penalty kick over the crossbar, which sort of induced a chain of events that ended his retirement. He's only 3 days after his 29th birthday, and a lot of people think he did it as in a little fit of pique, because he just hasn't been able to make it work for Argentina. The one of all the things that he's won in his life, he's never won a World Cup medal.
The fans apparently don't even like him.
Well, apparently a lot
he's
of Argentinians...
He's never been a Diego Maradona character.
I mean, if you ask any Argentinian who's your all-time great Argentinian player, it's always Maradona.
Of course it is.
And it's not
Messi.
So, I mean, it would be a real shame, because he's such a great player and such a tremendous sort of influence, I suppose, on an awful lot of youngsters. But it'd be nice if he would reverse, because you'd want to see him at the World Cup in Russia. But at the moment, he's one of my losers. And I'm going to go back to politics for my next loser, and it's going to have to be Jeremy Corbyn, because as much as David Cameron's a massive loser, here's a guy, Corbyn, who can't even capitalise on the chaos that's going on around the Tory government, because he's had 40+ resignations from his shadow cabinet over the course of the last sort of 48 hours. Doesn't seem to know what he's doing. Keeps coming out of a very overgrown garden. Have you noticed?
I have.
In front of his house in Islington, it's all overgrown.
Yeah, he needs a gardener.
And he's now, instead of now just not speaking, he now just says, "Good morning, everybody." But it's surely only a matter of time before he's somehow replaced by some of the more, shall we say, Blairite types at the Labour Party. So those are my 3.
So it's very political heavy then, yours,
No, I've got Lionel Messi and Roy Hodgson. How is that political heavy?
Yeah, okay, and Jeremy Corbyn. Yes,
I've got one politician, as have you.
Okay, yeah.
So I think we'd have to say we're about even. So
fine.
Well, let's have the winners then.
Right.
Everyone's a winner, baby, that's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
I'm going to go first with my winners then, and as we were talking about a little bit earlier on, I'm going to go to Glastonbury for my winner. It's not going to be Adele, because for me, she didn't quite make the grade, but it is going to be Coldplay, who a lot of people over the years have said, well, if you like Coldplay, you must be some kind of boring, middle-of-the-road, sort of character who doesn't understand rock and roll. But Coldplay put on a show, the like of which I don't think many people have ever seen. They gave the audience all these... sort of wristbands, which were LED wristbands, which could be artificially controlled by themselves, right? So they could change the colour of the crowd. They had this amazing light show. They did some great songs, but more important than that, they had one of your favourites up on stage to do a little duet. Barry Gibb appeared, right?
Yes.
And they said we're going to do one of the great songs, or or the greatest song of all time.
Yes.
And they performed "Staying Alive" with Barry Gibb, which was fantastic.
Brilliant.
And they also, when they said they normally do a tribute to David Bowie and play Heroes, they decided not to do that, and instead they played a song by Viola Beach. Remember that young band who were killed in that terrible car crash up in Scandinavia?
When they drove off the bridge.
Yeah, and they said we're going to do this right, and we're going to try and get these guys recognised, and we're going to try and get the song to the top of the charts. And so they played the Viola Beach song, which I thought was tremendous.
Right.
And, I mean, I'm sick to death of hearing about people who say, oh, Coldplay are really boring. A lot of people think that, but I think they're definitely winners this weekend.
Right.
And they made Glastonbury what it is. Anthony Joshua has got to be my second one.
Right.
Because, of course, he won yet again. I think his 17th knockdown in a row now. And quite a tough fight for him, I think, against Brazil. And he's very, very rapidly becoming, a great heavyweight, British heavyweight champion. And I think his next fight's going to be over in America. So he's broken into
and
that.
I think he could soon be fighting for those titles that Tyson Fury has if Tyson Fury decides to retire, as some predict he may.
Sure, and he's getting better and better with every single one of those things that he does. And, I mean, I guess my final winner is going to have to be Lars Lagerman. The man who's got an assistant who's a part-time dentist, part-time football man. To get a team like Iceland into the quarterfinals of the Euros, you'd have to say, is a fantastic achievement.
Definitely.
Would you not?
Yeah, I would, Yeah, I would,
So what are your winners?
Right, my winners are, first one, and this relates to Iceland as well. It has to, because of their staggering victory over England, one of the great results of all times in the European Championships, and it's got to be Aron Gunnarsson, because this guy... with his throw-in, created the equaliser for Iceland 2 minutes after they conceded, and therefore put them on an even keel.
I still like him being called Delapson. I think that's great.
Yeah, Delapson after Rory Delap. But the point is, he managed to do it, even though England should have been primed to stop it.
Well,
but it didn't bother him. He still put, threw it perfectly.
Isn't it funny though? Do you not think sometimes with these guys, if you have got that weapon at your disposal?
Yes.
Because I mean, Delap was the same. I mean, everybody knew what he was going to do.
Exactly.
But it seems to strike terror into the heart of any defence.
Well, the point is that he didn't change his methods or his style or anything. He knew that England had been planning to stop him, but it didn't matter. He needed an equaliser for his team. They got it 2 minutes after they conceded. So Aron Gunnarsson is my first one.
Okay.
My second one is Owen Farrell, who is the England kicker, because you've got to recognise the brilliance of what the England rugby team have done down in Australia.
Absolutely right.
Highest points total ever against a team on their own foreign soil touring, and a real hammering for Australia, unlike they've had since the Barbarians in sort of 87 or something.
I mean, I was very nearly going to put...
the British Lions in 87.
I mean, I was very nearly going to put the Australians in as losers, or Eddie Jones, but I think the last 2 weeks we've used England rugby, so I'm slightly disappointed you've used them again.
No, Owen Farrell, because he kicked 23 out of 26 kicks in the series. The series is over now, and he's come out of it as the highest scoring kicker of all time in that series.
And the Aussies are not happy.
So, of course, they're not happy. So I've got Aron Gunnarsson, I've got Owen Farrell. My third one is completely contrary to yours. I say it's Adele, because you said...
you didn't see it, did you?
Sorry? I did. Saw some of it on the telly.
You said you just read about it.
No. I saw some of it on the telly.
You saw it?
I saw some of it on the telly.
Well, if you saw it, you must have known how awful it was.
No. I saw some on the telly in a news bulletin. I didn't sit there and watch it all.
Right.
And all I'm saying is, I read the reviews and the reports, and she brought so much joy to so many people, with her completely laid-back style, with the fact that she was eating a hamburger in the wings just minutes before she came on stage. She invited fans up onto the stage. She was chatty. She said to the guy, the guy who owns the site, Michael, what's his name, the 80-year-old?
Evis.
Sorry?
Evis,
that's right. She actually said, hey, Mike, there you are. He was in the wing.
Well, Coldplay got him up to sing My Way.
Yeah, OK.
That's the difference.
OK, and she said, thanks ever so much for having us. We all love being here and all that. And that's a complete contrast
but don't you think that this kind of,
to Kanye West last year, who came and said, don't anybody speak to me.
Yeah, but Coldplay blew all that away, because I think the problem with her is, I mean, she just signed a contract for 90 million quid.
Yes.
And to go around going, was washing some dishes last night, watching the telly. Yeah. It's kind of an act that's wearing a bit thin.
Well, I don't think so. I think she's still... I mean, can you imagine, people like... I don't know, Kardashians doing that sort of thing. I mean, they're so remote from their fans.
I don't believe she's at home doing the dishes and watching telly.
I'm going to nominate her. So it's Aron Gunnarsson, the man with the great throw. It's Owen Farrell, because he led England to a historic victory, rugby down under on foreign soil. Yeah. Very, very proud of him. And Adele.
OK. So those are the winners and losers. If you go to at the two mics right now, I'm going to pin the voting procedure to the very top of the two mics Twitter feed. You may vote now. The votes will be open. The voting will be open until midnight. Of course, there will be no repeats. And if the referendum on the winners and losers doesn't work out the way we like it, nobody's going to complain about it, right? Because that would be ridiculous.
Yes, exactly.
Because you would never do that.
No.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Takes you back, that music, doesn't it? Old Barry Norman and film, whatever it used
Barry
to
Norman, yeah, I thought it was the other guy then, the 80-year-old.
You're thinking of
left the South
Melvin
Bank.
Bragg.
Melvin Bragg,
yeah,
who's just acquired a new girlfriend.
Oh, has he?
I read in the gossip columns, not quite a new girlfriend. He's had a mistress, apparently, for 22 years, it is alleged.
What, outside of his marriage?
Outside of his marriage, but he's...
Sure about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it, because that's what it said in the piece I read, and that his wife's always been comfortable about it, you know. But now he's sort of rearranged his living arrangements, apparently. Apparently, allegedly.
Well, you know, it's very always difficult to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Now, that's because we're going to do listography right now on our three favourite films. Now, again, it's a bit like books. It's a bit like when you talk about places to visit. Yeah. It's quite difficult to melt them down into just three things, right?
Sure.
Because I've got loads of great movies that I love. Yeah. And I'm going to struggle to meld it down into three. And you've said that you can do your three, but without Top Gun.
Without Top Gun.
Which is like kind of your favourite.
Which I've said for years is my
favourite. I mean, you put it in if
film.
you want, I suppose. No. It's not a competition.
No, go for three others.
Okay, well, do you want to go with your first one?
Okay, my first one is Godfather 2.
Godfather 2?
Yeah, which to me was a brilliant film because it was the emergence of Michael Corleone as the
head of the family.
Head of the family and the chief gangster in all of the USA. And he was a harder, stronger character and more ruthless than the boy we saw sort of reluctantly being, immersed into the family business in the first film.
And more ruthless than even his dad, really.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Absolutely right. Okay, well, that would be one of mine, but obviously since you've chosen it, I will not.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to go for Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of my favourites. It was a sort of resurgence of John Travolta.
Sure.
Who'd been out in the wilderness for a while. Samuel L. Jackson, of course.
Yes.
You're very familiar with.
Yes.
And it's probably the greatest movie of its kind, I think.
Yes.
That what's his face has done. The director.
Yeah.
Whose name is currently escaping me.
Yeah.
Tarantino.
Yeah, Tarantino films send a shiver up my back.
Well, some of his films are really a bit too brutal.
Exactly. Yeah.
To be honest, like Reservoir Dogs, I've never particularly liked.
Yeah.
But Pulp Fiction, I think, is brilliant. It's got the right amount of humour.
Which is the one in which they cut the cop's ear off.
Yeah, and that's Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I must admit, I found
it's just a bit too much, that one. But Pulp Fiction, I think, is brilliant. I can watch it. Yeah. And, of course, also, I love it because I used the signature tune of it for my old radio show up in Edinburgh, the Independent Republican Mike Graham.
Right, okay.
Which is why I have a special place in my heart for it.
Yes, okay.
What's your second one?
Good.
Then?
My second one is one from years ago.
Yeah.
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel?
Yeah. What are you laughing at?
Why is that one of your favourite films?
Well, it was such an erotic film.
There was quite a few of them, weren't there? There was Emmanuel in Bangkok or something like that.
No, it was Emmanuel, the original. It was fantastic. And everyone said, it was all about Rogerisation.
Well, it was.
Well, some of it was, but it was...
Sylvia Crystal, right?
Yeah, but it was a beautifully directed French film. I love French films with...
what other French films
with
do you like?
subtitles, what?
What other French films do you like?
There's one called The Jumper.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, which was about a woman who knitted jumpers for her lovers and all that kind of stuff.
Another soft-core
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And it was just...
She knitted jumpers?
Yeah, she knitted jumpers, for her lovers. I don't know why. And I have to say, I was fascinated by Emmanuel because it introduced me to a world of erotica, which I wasn't aware of
still
up till
sort
then.
of fairly, shall we say, what's the word? Easily influenced when that came out.
I went to see it with a girlfriend, and it had an amazing effect on things, if you see what I mean. Yeah. Yes, so that would be my second. I mean,
amazing,
all sorts of memories
amazing
about
effect in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely, very positive way. Okay. Yes, indeed.
Have you seen it recently?
No.
Oh, it hasn't been on.
But I love the other thing. I love the music. I love that song. Emmanuel. It's great.
You know it quite well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for years.
Yeah.
My second one's going to be Apocalypse Now.
Right.
Which is, of course, a Vietnam film. There's loads of great Vietnam War films. The Deer Hunter's fantastic.
Yes.
Full Metal Jacket is fantastic. But I think Apocalypse Now, excuse me, which I watched relatively recently, just for for the first time in ages, it's still absolutely brilliant. Marlon Brando plays his crazed Colonel Kurtz. It's based on the novel that's set basically in Africa, in the Dark Continent and all of that. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful film. And everyone who's in it is brilliant, including a very young Harrison Ford.
Young Harrison Ford, yeah.
Heart of Darkness is the name of the book.
Okay.
Now, what's your third one?
My third one is the first Rambo film, First Blood.
That's a good film.
And
I like that.
And the bit of it which I could watch time and time and time again is Sylvester Stallone breaking out of the police station.
Yeah.
Because it's so clinical in the way he does it. That's when you first realise this guy's a bit special.
Yeah.
And then at
mad.
every turn, he turns out to be such a professional soldier.
Yeah.
And everything, he beats the police every time.
Yeah.
A brilliant film. Love it.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go, I suppose, with my third film. I'm going to have to say, and I know this might be a little bit sort of predictable, but The Shawshank Redemption is a film that I find myself watching an awful lot of.
I find it very sad.
Yeah, well, no, it's happy at the end, though.
Wasted. Well, was it? How many years did he spend in jail before he got
20
out?
odd. But
20 odd?
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was that long.
Yeah. But he ends up
out.
getting to his we don't want to give it away, I suppose, if anybody hasn't seen it, but he ends up getting away to where he wants to spend the rest of his life.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I mean, it's tragic as well in the sense that his wife, gets murdered at the beginning of it.
Yeah, but then he does 20 years for a crime he didn't commit. That's terrible, isn't it?
But, once you're inside the American penal system, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Well, those are, I think, 6 pretty good films.
Pretty good
apart
films.
from Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Which just kind of sticks out slightly like a sore thumb.
No, it's not. It was a great film. Emmanuel.
Can't believe you know the tune. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, Johnny's laughing himself silly with the Emmanuel song that you're singing.
Yeah.
And Steve says, Melvin Bragg, was that the South Plank show?
South Plank show.
No wonder Porky remembers it.
Absolutely.
And on the winners and losers, Craig says Porky's losers were slightly better, but his choice of winners lost it for him. MG this week.
No.
Paul says MG wins as Porky puts Ozil a winner as a loser.
No, but he was a loser. He missed a penalty, and he's missed 3 penalties on the trot now. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's it.
And here's one from Becky, who says, again, no contest this week. Whoever picked Roy Hodgson as a loser was the winner, and Lagerback as a winner. So that has to be MG.
Yeah, sorry, but I picked David Cameron as a loser, and he's lost an awful lot more than Roy Hodgson, believe me. Roy Hodgson's lost a job. David Cameron's lost his whole political career.
Yeah, and his legacy, I think, which
and
is what he worries about the most.
Yeah.
So far, the early voting is as follows. 66 votes, 56 to 44. Quite a big difference at the moment.
Yes, in favour of
In my favour, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, that'll soon even itself up. Don't worry about that.
But here's Edgar's. You'll like this. Parry is correct. Ozil is the most inconsistent player in the world.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's what I like to hear.
What about the usual suspect, says Enrique. Well, the usual suspects are also great. I mean, the trouble is, if you try and come up with 3 films that are the best films that you like,
yes,
it's hard to narrow them down, really.
Indeed.
I mean, I could have put in Full Metal Jacket in there. I could have put 12 Angry Men. Could have put Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which I think is brilliant.
I thought that was a bit boring, actually.
Well, Butch Cassidy?
Yeah, I don't think
you didn't like it.
Developed fast enough, to be honest.
What do you mean?
Well, it was all a bit whimsy, wasn't it?
Oh, but it was all about their relationship,
all
wasn't
that
it?
sepia sort of photography down in South America and all that kind of stuff.
That was only at the end.
Yeah, well, you say that, but I mean...
Well, it was only at the end.
Was it?
Yeah, because when they come running out
Bolivia.
and they get shot by the Bolivian army...
Oh, no, I meant...
That's when it stopped. That's when they stop and you hear all the gunfire and you know they're going to die.
Yeah,
but that's the only sepia bit.
No, it's not. They took pictures of themselves in suits and bowler hats and fancy dresses and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that was because when they took pictures in those days, that was just a still picture.
Yeah,
that was the only way they could do them.
That's what I'm saying.
They were in black and white. How about this from West Ham Dodge in Crawley? Anyone who sees fit to boast about being smarter than a dumb animal, i.e. the average bear, has to be far dimmer than the average human.
Oh, yes?
That's what he says.
Very good.
And Steve says this, Emmanuel, I bet he had a copy of Debbie Does Dallas. Porky Vision has to contain Rogerisation.
No, I didn't. A very famous film, Debbie Does Dallas, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Apparently. I mean, I've never seen a copy of it, obviously. But
no, I don't think I've seen it.
It was the classic porno film, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was.
Right.
It's the one everybody quotes from.
Indeed. It says, dear God, Porky is opting for Wales in the next round of the Euros. Please, no. Do not predict them to win. The Porky Jinx is upon us.
The Porky Jinx has been remarkable, I have to say. In the last couple of weeks, I mean, almost everything that you have said has gone the opposite way.
Yeah.
It's been extraordinary.
Yeah.
It really has.
Well,
do you remember when you said Ronaldo was going to be the star of the tournament against Hungary?
Yeah.
And then they scored immediately after that.
Indeed.
And then you said he was going to be the comeback king.
Yes.
Although they are through. I'm quite surprised they beat Croatia, I have to say.
And he did score 2 goals in the game that got him through.
He did?
Remember, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely
No,
true.
for some unknown reason, William says, Porky singing reminded me of the song One Wheel on My Wagon and I'm Still Rolling Along. Well, that is one of my other classics. One wheel on my wagon, and I'm still rolling along. Those Cherokee are after me.
Yeah, all right.
I like that.
It's nearly time for you to go. I think it's time for you to lie down. We've got loads more texts and tweets to read out. This is TalkSport.
Mélodie d'amour chante le cœur d'Emmanuel qui bat cœur à corps perdu. Mélodie d'amour chante le corps d'Emmanuel qui vit corps à cœur déçu. Tu es encore.
Is that the song as you remember it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Beautiful song, isn't it?
Well, it's very sort of French soft
Yeah,
Paulie,
exactly,
isn't it?
yeah.
I'm not sure I'd like to have it in my collection.
Well-
Steve says this was going to vote for Porky for his Farrell winner,
Yeah.
but then he spoils it with Adele, MG, to get my vote.
Well, you say I'm sorry about that, but Adele is very popular. I mean, she sold more records than anybody else we know.
Is
You
that
know
why?
what I mean?
Is that why you're putting her in the
No,
hopes
no.
that you'll win with that?
Well, you
Because
know,
you're saying somebody popular was great.
It was about winners, and she is a winner. You know, she is the biggest winner of the lot, I think, really.
John says, how did Porky miss Top Gun? Well, we agreed not to put Top Gun in it, John.
Yes.
So if you're going to listen to the show, you have to try and listen to the exact details of it.
That's right.
Lots of people are complaining that Goodfellas wasn't in there. Best films is easy. Godfather Part 2, Goodfellas and Deer Hunter. Well, that's obviously you could do that.
Yeah.
It's all a bit obvious, really. Here's one from Bob who says, can't believe you didn't go for the Italian Job. Italian Job's a great film as well.
Yes.
But I don't think it's in the top 3 of mine.
No.
I'd have to say.
My only other nomination would have been The Spy Who Loved Me, because I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was the best Bond film. Loved the opening, you know, going over the cliff with the parachute with the Union Jack on it, and I love the theme song as well.
Here's one from Masha who
Yes.
says, Porky made my day with memories of Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Those were the days.
Absolutely.
David says, the other week Porky's brandishing George fashions from Asda. Now he's into hand-knitted French jumpers. Pierre Cardin Porky.
No. That was just the plot of the film I saw. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
coming up this week, of course, it's Porky Vision on Wednesday
Yes.
night. It's Ask Porky tomorrow.
It is.
And then we'll have to come up with a quiz on Porky Quiz Night for Thursday.
Yeah, we will, yeah.
I was wondering if we should do Iceland. I don't think we've done Iceland.
Well, I thought about that today, to be honest, and is there enough about Iceland to make a quiz? I suppose there is.
Well, I mean,
I suppose there is.
I think we've managed to make quizzes up out of less things than actual countries.
Okay, well, that'll do. That'll do.
Should we do that then?
Yeah, that'll suit me. Suit me.
Johnny says, Emmanuel, though, dude, never saw that coming. You might say that. Pulp Fiction is well up there for me. Tarantino films were amazing, but Steve McQueen had a film or two. Well, he certainly did.
Yeah.
I mean, Great Escape. Bullet was great as well.
Bullet, yeah.
But, we could do this forever. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Look at the light! Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics. But now the computer's telling me within the space of a couple of weeks there is a £55 per inch pressure difference between my top left tyre and my back right tyre, which means the car should be driving diagonally. 'Cause there's... My mum and dad used to, drill this into my head all the time. Not literally, obviously.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
Do you think in Iceland they might have magic ice or something?